And so, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For the avoidance of doubt, my name is Enoch Wamboa, the Senator of Kitui County and the Deputy Minority Leader in the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. I am chairing this session, and it had initially been allocated 45 minutes. I want to promise you that we will do it in 20 minutes, maximum 25 minutes. Because there are some adjustments that have been made, and we will do a joint plenary with the next session. So I don't have to do plenary now. I finish my chairing of the session, and then we usher in the next session, then do a joint plenary. So as I've said, I'll serve as the chair of this session for this afternoon. And I want to begin by thanking the Speaker of the Senate, the Right Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi, for being present with us and for officially opening this retreat. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I say I'm grateful to you, it is actually because I am grateful to you. I admire your commitment to the Senate and the Senate business. A number of our colleagues have exited to do important things, I know, but I know you have a lot of other important things to do, but you are here with us, and for that we thank you and we are honored. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, when I looked when we were doing lunch and I saw you are heading this direction, I said I'll also come. There was a temptation on my part as well to go and do certain other important things, but I said now if the Speaker is in, I'll also be in. So we thank you, and we are grateful that you are here. So, colleagues, as we transition to the second session of our program, we will turn our focus to a crucial aspect of our agenda, which is a review of the fourth session, House business and key legislative matters. In this session, we are looking at ways of enhancing our effectiveness as we prepare for the fifth session. And our discussion today for this session will be centered on the national executive engagement with the legislature, looking into the perspectives of the State Department of Parliamentary Affairs. These discussions, you'll agree with me, are central to the assessment of our performance as a House, and will help us to shape a clear and actionable roadmap for the legacy we need to create for the fourth Senate. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, through the Speaker, I want to urge all of us that this should not just be about measuring progress. Let this be an opportunity for us to engage for more continued effectiveness, as I said, of the Senate in the service to humanity, in the service to our counties and the county governments that the Constitution requires us to protect. Our discussions today should help us in refining our approach to lawmaking, representation, and oversight as captured in Article 96 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So to guide us through this session, we have a single presenter who will be presenting on the national executive engagement with the legislature, and that's CPA Dr. Aurelia Rono, CBS. She is a distinguished public servant, an accomplished scholar, and a seasoned finance professional, currently serving as a principal secretary in the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs under the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Minister of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. In this role, she provides strategic leadership in coordinating national policy and legislative priorities, overseeing parliamentary liaison services across ministries, departments, and agencies, as MDAs, and ensuring public participation remains central to governance. She will tell us how she does that. Dr. Rono holds a PhD in business administration, specializing in finance, from the University of Kabiaga, an MBA in finance from JKU Art, and a Bachelor of Education Science from Egerton University. So when we say that she's a scholar, you know now that she is. She's a certified public accountant and an active member of ICPAC. Dr. Rono combines academic excellence with professional expertise in finance, governance, and legislative processes. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow colleagues, through the speaker, I ask you to join me to invite to the stage Dr. CPA Aurelia C. Rono, CBS. She will take us through the topic on the national executive engagement with the legislature, perspectives of the State Department of Parliamentary Affairs. Madam, the floor is yours. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Wambua. Right Honorable Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, the leadership of Senate, Honorable Senators, staff from Senate, invited guests, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you. I don't know whether I can be seen from the other side. It's like, Speaker, I'm really shorter than you. But yeah, I think I can use this one. So it's really a great opportunity and a privilege to join you today as a State Department for Parliamentary Affairs in this very, very important retreat on assessing and planning for the 5th session of the Senate. I must say from the executive that for government to succeed, or the thank you. The success of government is inseparable from the effectiveness and the confidence and the work of Parliament. We cannot be having credible policies. We cannot have credible policies. We cannot have a long-lasting service delivery as a government without having Parliament in it. So as Parliamentary Affairs, we are so happy today as a body that coordinates the government legislative agenda, a body that ensures that executive engages with Parliament in a timely and in a very orderly manner. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this presentation today. Honorable Speaker, are you projecting the presentation? Someone is presenting, but I can use what I have here. Honorable Speaker, The State Department for Parliamentary Affairs is under the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary that is mandated to coordinate the government legislative agenda across all ministries, departments, and agencies, and in consultation with parliamentary leadership. That is the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Now, the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs does the day-to-day coordination of GLA. GLA is the government legislative agenda. Now, the coordination function is discharged in three main processes. Honorable members, I can now use the screen. We have coordination for identification. Allow me, before I discuss the areas, how we've been engaging between the executive and parliament, to just take you through very fast on what is this coordination that we are talking about as parliamentary affairs. We work across the MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, and we also liaise with parliament on matters GLA. So there are those three, I've reduced those functions that were mentioned by Senator Wambua into those three items there. Coordination of identification of government legislative agenda. Government legislative agenda are the policies, bills, and statutory instruments that the executive is developing for the implementation of government development agenda. Honorable members, the State Department works with all ministries. As we speak, it has been like 2.5 financial years that we've been in place, and we really thank God for the support with clerks of Senate and some committees which have really assisted us to do our work. On the first item, probably before I talk about the first item, to really understand our work, you look at the dashboard of Parliament. For a long time, if someone wants to do what's happening in Parliament, you go to the website of Parliament and you would see, you would track the bills, you will get the bills that you want to go through, the policies, and all the documents that are being done by Parliament. This is the first time in the history of Kenya that we have a body that is a repository of, or that has the portfolio of legislative initiatives that government is working on. This is the very first time. And that identification, honorable members, is not, it's really not an easy task, because when we came on board, we discussed with ministries, departments, and agencies, and we got a total of 772 initiatives that were meant to assist government deliver on government development agenda. But then that is contained in a document called Government Legislative Agenda Schedule. But that document is a living document considering the emerging issues in the country and so many other things, reforms. So we've moved all the way from 772 initiatives to 1025 initiatives, but currently we are 1281 initiatives. When I talk of 1281 initiatives, I've said these are initiatives that are meant to align the laws that we have to the Constitution. These are initiatives that are meant to support the government deliver on government development agenda. So that is identification. So after identifying, that is then what we are coordinating. Every quarter, we are sitting with the ministries, departments, and agencies to track the progress of these initiatives for transmission to Parliament, for those that are coming to Parliament, and for those that are terminating and at Cabinet, we are tracking all of them to ensure that they service delivery to the common man. Item 2 is coordination for prioritization. Honorable members, this is a State Department that did costing of development of initiatives. And it was surprising to realize that a lot of resources, though public participation is a constitutional imperative, which we must stick to it, it came out very well that there is need for prioritization, because the cost to do a single initiative is too much, considering the steps that are needed: inception, drafting, public participation and stakeholder engagement, the final drafting by the AG, cabinet approval, and finally to parliament. Like, I'll give you an example. When we did the costing of 179 initiatives, we realized that a total of 3.9 billion was needed to actualize those initiatives. And that's a call for us to reimagine how better we can do what the Constitution tells us to do at a fair or a not so costly way. So in prioritization, we sit with the ministries, departments, and agencies and agree, because of the cost associated with this, on what is it that we need to prioritize to enable us achieve what we said we are going to do as a government. Honorable members, there is coordination for enactment. That is another aspect that we do. Coordination, coordination, coordination is the work that we do. Next slide. So, the State Department has operationalized. For us to be able to do this, we've operationalized what is called parliamentary liaison services. And I also want to thank the Senate for their support, because I think we've been able to do the liaison work because of the inputs that Senate, committee clerks, and the Senate as a whole, the inputs that they gave us on how best we can do this liaison process. And you will see, probably when I come to parliamentary appearances, though we've not achieved the target, what we want to achieve as a State Department, there is an improvement from what we have. So we operationalize the parliamentary liaison functions by coordinating the prioritization and timely transmission of government legislative business to Parliament. Probably is to say, at that point, to give evidence of that, prioritizing and timely transition of government legislative business to Parliament. From the 1281 initiatives that we talked about, we've had 290 initiatives that are under now the category of implementation stage, that have passed through you, Senate and National Assembly, and they are under implementation, plus 79 that are still with Parliament for acting on. So in matters transmission, though we've not again achieved where we want to be, that is over 32% of the transition rate, considering the challenges that we'll talk about that are impeding this. Maintenance of parliamentary liaison officers, database. The State Department maintains and updates every quarterly the parliamentary liaison officers in every ministry that are meant to assist the MDAs together with Senate and National Assembly on how we are interacting together as the two arms of government. Facilitating engagement with parliamentary committees, we do that through parliamentary liaison officers. Supporting executive accountability to Parliament, that is, and at this point also I want to thank you, Honorable Speaker and members of Senate, for supporting us to hold executive, including us, to account. Every time you invite executive to appear, we work together with the parliamentary liaison officers to ensure that they appear, and in case there are issues, we always discuss on how to address. Building capacity within MDAs to develop high-quality legislative proposals by developing coordination tools. We've worked together, we've partnered with Senate to build capacity of the parliamentary liaison officers and other officers across the executive that are dealing with policy issues and legislative issues. And we've done together with the Senate. So what are the key milestones? The notable achievements that we've had, and I've said we are only 2.5 financial years old. We have the government legislative agenda schedule that we talked about, that is carrying all the initiatives that the executive is developing to ensure that service is delivered to the people of Kenya. That is a document that is there. It is in our website, and that is what we are tracking. Though I said it's a living document, we keep updating. Like, consider the other day when we had parastatal reforms, some of those initiatives were retired because of the reforms that were made. Legislative Agenda Tracking Information System. I said earlier that if someone wants to know what Parliament is doing, National Assembly or Senate, they would go direct to your tracker, to the website, and look at it and get to know all what they want. That is what we want to do as the executive. Currently, we are doing it so manually, but we are graduating to a digital system where that will behave like the one for Senate, so that people can be able to tell what are the portfolio of policies across executive or bills or statutory instruments, and they will be able to participate in with the development of the same. Public Policy Handbook for Kenya is a very good public policy handbook that is being used even by counties now. That ensures that the policies that we develop as a country are standardized and have a bit of uniformity and quality policies are developed across the government. Parliamentary Liaison Framework is another document that we've developed together with Senate and the National Assembly. You see, we do the parliamentary liaison services, but we didn't have a document that is helping us to have structured liaison. So we developed together with Senate the parliamentary liaison framework, which I believe is going to sort some of the challenges that you are facing as senators when you invite us, when you invite executive to appear. Thank you for supporting us develop that. A series of items there, you've seen that. Given a short time, let's go to the next slide. That is how it looks, what I've said, the portfolio of initiatives that the government is developing, and most of them are going to land in Senate and National Assembly for processing. So that is breaking down the legislative business. That is breaking down the legislative business. And so far, we've had quite a number of bills. You can see it's an analysis from 2023 to 2025, how bills have been increasing as they are transitioned into National Assembly. You can see from to Senate and National Assembly, from 234 all the way to 593. I want to move very fast with those slides because there's a very important slide on key areas to work on together. Honorable Speaker and Senators, in our records, we have the list of bills that have been approved, passed, and assented to, and those are purely originating from Senate, and we appreciate the work that Senate is doing. Out of 72 bills that have been assented to, we have 12 that purely originated from Senate that have been assented to, and out of the remaining 60, 20 Senate have also had a touch on the 20 that was originating from the National Assembly. Next slide. Parliamentary support services, those are sessional papers. Parliament have managed to approve, out of 15 sessional papers, they have approved 10, and the 5 remaining are in Parliament. I would like to say, out of the several initiatives on policies, 40 have been worked on and they are under implementation. And I think, honorable members, we will share the report to that so that you get to know which are these policies that are under implementation that terminated at the cabinet level, plus the ones that came to Parliament as the sessional papers. So for bills, I think I had explained that. And then for statutory instruments, we also have, out of the many that has come to Parliament, we have 153 which have been approved, and others are in several stages of development. Next. Appearances. I think that is very important. Appearances. We coordinate the appearances of PSS and CSS. And I'm aware that senators have had issues on the appearances of CSS and PSS in Parliament. If you look at that presentation there, last year, last session, fourth session, we had 55% response rate. That is from February to December 2025. We normally take stock of the invitations from Senate, and we take stock of the response, how many questions were responded and how many were not responded, and who appeared and who didn't appear. And we develop a scorecard that is shared up to the cabinet to show the appearances of senators in Senate and in National Assembly. So CSS, that is, just a minute, CSS question time, it was 55%. The invitations were, the questions that were raised by Senate were 168, but the ones that were responded to was 192. Now, to committees, you can see from the presentation that what we've presented there is from September to December 2025. Why have we not presented from February to September? It is because we had not managed to have a schedule of appearances from Senate and the National Assembly. But as is now, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Senators, we are happy that every Friday we receive a schedule of appearance, and it becomes easy for us to track the CSS and PSS because we have the schedule, and we compile the schedule, putting together with the one for National Assembly, and then we share to CSS and PSS to ensure and follow up to ensure that they appear. Earlier on, it was very tough because we didn't know who've been invited to which committee. But now, with your support, we are able to do that work because we receive this every Friday. Thank you so much. So that small figure there, you see it's about 35.3%. I believe this year is going to be better because we now have the schedule from Senate, and the tracking and coordinating will become easier for us. At that point, I also want to appreciate Senate for giving us guidelines. We receive a guideline from Senate that gives us the threshold of rescheduling parliamentary appearance. And that was shared by MDAs, and I believe this year, this session, 5th session, we'll see something better. On committee appearances, that was plenary appearances. On committee appearances, you can see very poor performance. We are really performing not well as executive, and I've given the reason why. We had not received for quite some time the schedule of who've been invited where. But now things are going to be better because we are getting the schedule, and the liaison service will be better. So what are I've said we've developed parliamentary liaison framework, and the framework has those objectives and the anticipated outcome. Okay, so those are the salient issues of parliamentary liaison framework, which is meant to assist actually Senate and National Assembly, because it gives the executive what is it that they need to do at what point in engaging with Parliament. Next. Now, challenges and recommendations. That's where I wanted us to look at. One of the challenges that we've witnessed as a State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, one of them is the delayed processing of legislative proposal. This one, I need to be very clear. Senate processed their legislative proposal within the stipulated time. Where the delay happens is at the mediation stage. And probably we are asking as executive that the Senate and probably National Assembly will help us on that. If you look at food and feed, just a minute, food and feed safety bill 2023, it went to mediation about a year ago, or 2024. So we don't know whether it's going to be processed or it's going to die there. But generally, the processing of legislation within Senate is very fast, and I think it's within the timelines that are stipulated in the standing orders. We all know that the challenge of public participation, quite a number of our bills, I think it's becoming now better as we go along, because we've been banking on judicial rulings to update MDAs on matters public participation. But we need to process that legislative framework, legal framework. Recommendations: establish administrative turnaround time for each legislative stage, particularly on the ones under mediation. Enact the public participation framework. Next. Then the other challenge, honorable members, which I really call upon you to look at, is on Section 11 of the Statutory Instruments Act. Section 11 of the Statutory Instruments Act requires the statutory instruments to be submitted to the relevant house. That is Section 1. While Section 2 of 11.2 mandates that all SIs be tabled before the National Assembly. So this provision has led to MDS to table the same statutory instruments in both houses. As a result, conflicting decisions arise, with one house approving an SI while the other one annulling it. We would wish you will, that is to, so that you consider, as you, processing of bicameral bills is very clear in your standing orders, how it's processed. But statutory instruments, if you look at our record, you'll realize that there's a statutory instrument that was tabled in one house, and then tabled in the other house, and then it is revoked, yet the other house has approved, simply because of this Section 11. So I request that we look at it so that we reduce the revocation of statutory instruments that is rampantly happening. Recommendations: amendment of Section 11 of the Statutory Instrument Act to harmonize the provisions on tabling of SI and clearly specifying the appropriate house responsible for consideration, and also establish a bicameral legal framework for clarity and processing of statutory instruments. Because if there was enough time, I would give you examples of statutory instruments that has been approved probably by Senate and then revoked from the National Assembly. So you realize that Senate has approved, but the one in National Assembly has been revoked, which is giving confusing, The last challenge there is the implementation of parliamentary resolutions and executives undertaking. We as a State Department, we are supposed to assist you, being the bridge between the legislature and the executive, to follow up the resolutions that you pass in Senate for implementation. We've not been able to do this for a long time because we had not gotten resolutions from Senate. We kept asking, but finally we appreciate Senate for sharing with us towards the end of last year the resolutions that were passed by Senate requiring the executive to implement. Our work then is to follow up those resolutions and executive undertakings so that they are budgeted. Some of the resolutions requires budgeting, some of the resolutions probably requires just implementation. So with our presence, when we receive those resolutions, we will work on them, coordinate with the respective ministries to ensure that those resolutions are actually implemented. Thank you for sharing with us those resolutions. Will make work a bit easier. As I wind up, on committee appearances, I think I've talked about that. And then finally, the final recommendation: strengthen the coordination of committee invitations by establishing a centralized scheduling and clearance mechanism. I think I've talked about those the appearances. Honorable Speaker and honorable members of Senate, thank you so much for the opportunity to present. I'm looking forward to more time next time so that we do. I've really summarized our presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I will stand you down. I will stand you down for a few minutes. Thank you so much, Daktari, for your presentation. You will get an opportunity to interact with the senators on the issues that you have presented on. In a few minutes, you will get that opportunity to interact with the senators. And I'm happy myself with the presentation that you've made and the full disclosures that you have made. I hope that at some point you will share with us that scorecard of the CSEs who appear before plenary and who don't. That scorecard is important for us. And to Senator Madago, before we move to the next session, because there will be a joint session. I remember there is a question you had asked the CS for health on the issue of the 38,000 HPs. In the BPS, we are told we need to recruit new ones, but the CS is saying your CA2, that belongs to another person. Ask the Treasury where they got that one from. I think because this is the office that deals with that coordination on legislation, and BPS is a legislative issue, I think that question can be answered here. How come that one minister is saying this, a different is saying a different thing, and we are supposed to be legislating on the BPS? That's an important one. You may want to take that with Senator Madago. As I wind up, I saw our clerk taking very serious notes when you are talking about delays in mediation and processing of statutory instruments and implementation of Senate resolutions. I'm very sure at some point the clerk will have to throw some light into that, because those are provided for in our standing orders, and there shouldn't be any confusion as to how we proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to stop there and usher in the next session chair, my teacher, Professor Margaret Kamar, whom Senator Madago was inciting me to throw out of the house. I cannot do that. This is my teacher. Mwalimu, come and chair the next session. And then you, after you have chaired the next session, you will then invite PS Rono to do a joint plenary with your discussants in your session. Pigia Mwalimu makofi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. It's always a blessing to have a student in your life. Right Honorable Speaker, Amason Kingi, our senators, honorable senators, Your Excellency the Governor, the honorable peers representing the CS, let me say all protocol observed. We are going to the session on the state of education in Kenya. Management of education policy and standards. We have already received an apology from the CS, and he said disabled PS is going to handle the issues. So we are in safe hands. For those who may not know me, I think my student has introduced me well. Margaret Kamar is my name, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Committee of Education in the Senate. And I will serve in this session as the chair. Going by what the Health Committee did, we know that we need more time than has been allocated, so we'll try to be very precise. I will ask the presenter to be precise, and I will ask the discussants to be very precise also. I think the discussions bring out more issues, and so we will allow that. So our topic is the state of education in Kenya, management of education policy and standards. The Ministry of Education has been releasing guidelines and circulars on various matters, including in that which affected us recently, the merging of curriculum for primary teacher education with early childhood teacher education. And we actually were supposed to be having the PS talking to us yesterday, but we were not able to have a slot, so we are happy that he's here to give us clarifications on that, among many other policies and circulars that have been released. because of the new system, the CBC system that is with us, and clarity is the most important thing, especially for the honorable members who are representatives of the people. It's very important that you be appraised on the state of the implementation of these guidelines and even the implementation of the new system, the transition which we hope can be as smooth as possible. What are the challenges and possible way forward to ensure also that Article 53(1)(b) of the Constitution, which is that every child has a right to free and compulsory basic education. We would like to know where we are on that. And remember, basic education in Kenya is up to, in the old system, was up to Form 4. So are we up to grade 12, free and compulsory? And what is the situation we are in? And how can we deal with those? More precisely for the Senate, we deal with the early childhood education and our committee. And early childhood education is the precursor to primary. How are we preparing our governors are to handle 1/3 of that population in the VTCs, because they are, even the TVET institutions, polytechnics, diploma in nursing, all these diploma colleges cannot take more than 1/3, which means 1/3 of the population that leaves the secondary school is actually in the hands of the devolved units. I'm sure the chair of education, who is here with us, as Dr. Mutai, who is here with us representing COG, will be able to touch on that. So, honorable members, honorable speaker, at least I'm not Sivuna. I don't know what's happening here. So with those remarks, honorable speaker and honorable members, may I introduce the main presenter of the day, who is our distinguished guest for this afternoon, Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok, representing the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education. Ambassador Bitok is the Principal Secretary, State Department of Basic Education, and before his current position, he was an ambassador. He was an ambassador of this country, and now, and the PS of State, later the PS of State for Immigration and Citizen Services. He has also served as Kenya's High Commissioner to Pakistan. May I dare say he was also my student, and he became a professor in my university. Professor Bitok is a renowned scholar, as you all know, specializing in finance, public policy and governance, and he has worked in the Central Bank of Kenya, Capital Markets Authority, and Kenya Civil Aviation, among other places. He holds a Doctor of Philosophy, PhD in Finance from Moi University, a program that was a twin program between Moi University and Oklahoma State University, a master's program in Business Administration from the University of Nairobi, and a bachelor's degree of economics from Moi University. Moi University. I would like to welcome you, Ambassador Professor Bitok, to come and do your presentation, and thereafter I will invite the discussants. Welcome.
The Right Honorable Speaker of Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, the chairpersons for Senate committees, and more specifically Senate Committee for Education, other chairpersons. I've seen the Majority Leader of Senate, Honorable Aaron Cheriot, Honorable Senators present, Governors present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. My name is Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok. As introduced, PS for State Department for Basic Education. And allow me, Madam Chair, Senator Chair, to register the apologies of the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Julius Migos, who is on official duty abroad, and asked me to represent him. And allow me again also, Senator Chair, to introduce the CEOs who have accompanied me. I would only request them to stand wherever they are and just wave. CEOs of state corporations, KICD, SEPU, Samastea, NEC, UNESCO. Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker and Chair of this session, the topic that I've been given to discuss is the state of education in Kenya, management of education policy and standards. And I'll try as much as possible to highlight some of the key policy issues. And to begin, at the onset, please allow me to express my profound gratitude to the Senate for the wisdom of hosting this assessment and planning retreat. Inviting the Ministry of Education alongside other key national government ministries is walking the talk on the essence of consultative and complementary relationship between the different arms of government in oiling the cogs of the functional and robust democracy. More importantly, it speaks to the shared recognition and appreciation of our nation's most vital resource, our children. Secondly, it is a bold statement of your value attachment to education. Indeed, yourselves, as well as myself, are but a living testimony of what education can do. Your journey to the August House began with the foundational learning. Arguably, it is education which brought you the ticket, or rather which brought you the ticket to sit in this audience today. And I can give a very classic example. My teacher here, she was my principal when I was a student leader at the University of Eldoret. Professor Kamar here was my principal. And there are many other teachers, of course, in the room, including a few senators here. Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, our country is at the cusp of fundamental shifts in education. Last year, for the first time, the pioneer cohort of grade 9 learners under the competence-based education sat for the Kenya Junior Secondary Education Assessment. I'm happy to report that we are very close to 100% transition to grade 10. We have also successfully retooled majority of our teachers to align their pedagogical skills to competence-based education demands. I also confirm that we have kept our promise to hire more than 100,000 teachers, and we are counting, to ease the classroom burden and move our ratio of learners to teachers closer to the global standards. As we speak now, with 12 million learners in basic education, that is from primary, junior to secondary, we have 58,000 teachers, meaning the ratio is 1 to 26 across the board. The global standard requires us to have 1 to 25 learners so that we meet the global standard. The ministry has also invested heavily on expansion of infrastructure in schools, including in the construction of classrooms, laboratories, and wash areas. For the first time in our public schools, capitation arrived before learners this term. It is actually historical that this government, for the first time in many, many years, was able to send money to school before schools opened. I did receive capitation money on 20th of December. And by 2nd of January, I had sent all the money, the 44 billion, to our schools. And the schools were opening on the 5th, meaning we were 3 days ahead of opening schools. And it's happening for the very, very first time in many, many, many years. Now that we have successfully identified and expunged ghost learners from our records in the recently concluded enrollment verification exercise, we are confident that we have reliable data to inform better planning and resource allocation in our schools. And I also want to report to the Senate that apart from cleaning the register, cleaning the data in our education system, we have also taken decisive action against teachers who we suspect inflated the numbers. We have also taken action against the sub-county directors of education who we suspect are capable with the idea of ghost students. Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, the framers of our Constitution vested in the Senate an important role in the oversighting county governments, which are responsible for many aspects of fundamental learning. Educationists agree that basic literacy, numeracy, and social-emotional skills is the mother of all learning. Whereas Kenya ranks high in pre-primary enrollment globally at 94.2%, there are worrying statistics crying for our urgent attention. For instance, 3 in every 10 grade 6 learners cannot solve a grade 3 level mathematics problem. Equally, nearly half of grade 6 learners cannot comprehend a grade 3 English story. We must therefore reflect on how to strike a healthier quality versus quantity balance. And at this juncture, I therefore request, honorable senators, that you give us more space and authority to ensure that we match, or rather we work closely on matters quality assurance between our sub-county directors of education, our quality assurance officers in the field, with the quality assurance officers who are working for the county government, so that we can be able to bridge this very, very important gap. Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, the adage that education is the key still holds true. But do we really have enough doors for the keys to open? That is the big question we have. Those of us privileged to be in leadership have a responsibility to not only design the right key, but also provide enough doors to open. The 2010 Constitution in Article 43 and 53 states that every child has a right for free and compulsory basic education, nutrition, and health care. The Basic Education Act of 2013 promotes and regulates free basic education and standardizes school management, while the Early Childhood Education Act of 2021 governs the provisions and regulations of pre-primary education. These legal delineations underpin the importance of our foundational learning. The architects of our Constitution evidently anticipated gray areas due to the duality of responsibilities between the national and county governments in implementation of foundational learning. They therefore unpacked the respective roles as follows in the fourth schedule. Under the national government, we are funding, policy formulation, curriculum development, quality control, and national assessments. Whereas under county governments, we have implementation and management of pre-primary education and child care facilities, including infrastructure development, hiring of teachers, and school feeding programs. The national government, in doing its best to meet its obligations. This week, for instance, I appeared before the Education Committee of the National Assembly to defend a 245 billion basic education budget. Collectively, the Education Ministry has hit a historical high of 700 billion. It has never happened that we have a budget for education globally, for basic education, for universities, and for TVETs, hitting 700 billion. For many years, the budget has been at around 400, 500 billion. But for the first time under Kenya Kwanza government, we have a budget of 700 billion plus. As I brought to the attention of the committee, we still have, of course, out of the 245 billion budget of basic education, we have a deficit of 111 billion to optimally fund basic education, especially free primary education, the school feeding program, and national assessments and examinations. Aware of the raging emotive debate around the future of training and certifications of ECDE tutors. This debate is timely and healthy. The ministry is committed to ensuring that the eventual policy position is reflective of a genuinely consultative process that respects the realities of local and global and future education needs. Mr. Speaker, this issue of ECD tutors or ECD training is a 2-year-old issue. It was decided 2 years ago. And clearly, as a ministry, we are very keen on listening more to our stakeholders so that we come up with a very clear roadmap on transition, because the Presidential Working Party made it very clear that we consolidate the training of ECD and primary. But as a ministry, we are keen and we are open to further consultations with the Senate and with other stakeholders so that we come up with a solution that is for the benefit of this country. Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, may I now turn the spotlight on the expected role of county governments in effective foundational learning. the 2010 Constitution entrusted ECDs to the county governments. This was intended to bring the most critical stage of human development closest to the people. Essentially, therefore, you are the ultimate guardians of about 4 million Kenyan children currently enrolled in our pre-primary education centers. We have a duty of care to provide reasonable infrastructure and dignity in our ECD centers. Regrettably, pre-primary learning in some counties in this country is still being held under trees in dilapidated structures. I urge this House, honorable senators, to exercise its oversight mandate to ensure that county integrated development plans prioritize the construction of child-friendly, safe, and modern ECD centers around the country. We must also put our house in order in the important matter of our ECD teachers. The current status of many of our ECD teachers is unacceptable. In many counties, there is delayed salaries, lack of pension schemes, and a take it or leave it volunteer mentality towards these professionals is common across the counties. An unhappy teacher cannot be trusted with nurturing a child's mind. The Senate should prioritize pushing for harmonization of the schemes of service for all the teachers of ECDs around the country. We need to abandon a stopgap short-term contracts to terms that attract and retain competent, well-trained professionals. I dare say the national government is already holding the how-to candle on this. County governments should match this strategy at the entry level of our education system, because this is critical in ensuring that we bring up young people into the mainstream of our education system. Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, equally pertinent is the issue of providing food to our pre-primary learners. You cannot teach a hungry child. While some counties have pioneered impressive school feeding programs, others have no provision at all. This creates a lottery of birth where a child's nutritional health depends entirely on the county of birth or residency. And this is really, really very unfortunate. I urge the Senate to advocate for the national county nutritional framework that guarantees at least one fortified meal a day for every ECD learner across all the 47 counties. As I inch closer to the end of my presentation, I want to reflect on equity in our ECDs. There is a policy disconnect between the ECD level managed by the counties and the primary level managed by the national government. The ideal long-term solution to this would be to establish start to finish comprehensive basic education schools. As a meanwhile, the Senate can support the education sector by insisting on and causing the implementation of a uniform curricula across the competence-based education. That's from ECD, we go to primary, we go to junior school, we go to senior school. Should be really very, very comprehensive, supporting the operationalization of KEMIS, Kenya Education Management Information System, to create a reliable, integratable, and trackable data in equitable resource allocation and accountable utilization, especially in ASAL and urban poor regions. Honorable senators, it is not in doubt that a legal framework that is clearer on the roles of the national and county government in education matters is welcome. I am therefore glad to note that the proposed Basic Education Amendment Bill 2025 that is now before the National Assembly offers a historic opportunity to clarify these roles while strengthening coordination and resource allocation. I therefore appeal to senators to give the bill the attention that it deserves when the right time comes. Honorable Senators, I thank you for your continued oversight of the county governments, particularly in management of our education, particularly ECD. Your oversight is the bridge between the child's potential and their reality. By holding county governments accountable, you help assure that funds meant for our youngest learners actually reach the classroom. Together, we can give our youngest citizens the start they deserve. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, PS. Another applause for the PS. May I therefore, without much ado, invite the discussants. As I mentioned earlier, we have Senator Betty Mondet, Chairperson of the Senate Standing Committee on Education, and Honorable Eric Kipkoech Mutai, Governor, County of Kericho, and Chairperson of the Education Committee. Please come forward together. And even as they are coming, I want to say one thing about each one of them. The Honorable Senator Betty Montet has been, has chaired this committee, is the chair of the committee, and has been extremely keen in ensuring the clarion call on education for all. Since she took over the leadership of the Standing Committee on Education, the committee has pursued matters relating to access to education by all children, and in particular, have been focusing on the development of classrooms, some of the issues that were raised by the peers at the county levels. The committee has been keen in ensuring that all children get basic education, including the school feeding program. So we'll hear the survey that has been done by the committee from the chair, Senator Mondet. The Honorable Dr. Eric Kipkoech Mutai is the chairperson of education, as I said, in the Council of Governors, and he will be telling us the experience of the Council of Governors in relation to some of the issues that have also been raised by the peers, especially on the areas that touch on Schedule 4, that is ECD and VTCs, and the challenges between our ECDs and primary schools. There are practical challenges that we have seen on the ground, which I know the governors have been talking about and conveying. So let me not take much time. Let me invite Senator Betty Montet to come forward. Or did you, yes? To do your presentation from there,
Thank you, Session Chair. I'm lucky the Session Chair is also a member of my committee. And first, I want to thank the PS and my co-chair, Governor, Your Excellency, for being here for this meeting. Maybe what I could start with, Bwana PS, it's something not very interesting, because as a Senate, these members here have forwarded so many statements to your ministry, and I have 54 which have not been answered. 17 date back to 2004, 34 date back to 2025, and 3 are for this year. The reason why I'm bringing this, Bwana PS, is because I'm sure most of these members would have questions they would want to ask, or they've always wished to ask the ministry, but we've not received those answers. So as you prepare, maybe you can give us a way forward on how we are going to go about it. Secondly, maybe I would have said it would have been good if we also had the the PS TVET, because, you know, as a Senate, we are minded to do matters, those which are devolved. And we had a good discussion with the PS about 2 weeks ago. And most of the figures you've actually given us, we got them from her. And though maybe there are a few issues here and there, I'm sure there are issues where we can sit as a committee and maybe iron out. To start with, maybe I would want to talk about what to emphasize, and that is on ECDE. That is our core mandate as a Senate. And I would wish to report here today that this committee has visited 9 counties to oversight the implementation of ECDE. We've also met with 29 governors in the last 8 months. And this can tell you, peers, that are alive on what is happening on ground on matters ECDE. Actually, members, as you are aware, and most of you, when we visit these counties, we invite the sitting senators. The matter on ECD on ground has not been very rosy. It has been very, very unfortunate. It has been very discouraging. But what I can say is from the time we started this inquiry, I think, and I'm sure the chair of Education ECOG will agree with me that governors are waking up to do better, and things are changing, and we are hoping that in the next 6 months after our meetings, and if we are able to do our oversight visits, things will be different, and we'll be able to tell Kenyans how we are doing, and we are getting better on ECDE matters. I don't know whether you want me to go to that, or you want members first to ask their questions so that I can input also as they ask to the PS directly. Chair.
If you have finished your summary and you are comfortable, we are okay.
I still have so much which I can but I can try to come in as members also, ask those questions direct to the PS.
Okay, because all we wanted was we give you a global overview to reduce the questions from the floor. But if you have done that overview, then I'll be happy to move to the governor to give his own overview. Questions will come in, and the 3 of you will still have to respond to something.
Chair, I think I'll be comfortable that way because I'm part of this team. Yes. So whatever the CS, the PS answers, then I can be able to also add on what we've done as a committee.
That's
on
fine.
The same.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Kamaru, and the Vice Chair of this committee, Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Speaker, the Majority Leader, who is also my Senator. And we also have a team from COG here. I'm not alone. We have our chair who has worked in, and we also have our CEO, Mary Mwiti. That said, first of all, I would wish to indicate, members, that as we discuss ECDE, is that when devolution happened, at the onset of devolution, the function of ECDE was not costed. And therefore, no attendant resources were provided to this function from day one. The function was given to the counties, and there was no proper costing of the same, and therefore the counties have been struggling with the shareable revenue they have and the ONSO's revenue to be able to meet our expectation. Number 2, in summary, because of time, there is tremendous progress that has been made in ECD across the counties. When you took over ECDs after devolution 2013, practically there were no functional classrooms across the nation. Children were learning under the trees. But today, as we speak today, we reflect with joy that we have an increased access as of 2025 of 3.8% increase in primary enrollment, rising to 2 million 903,207 as it is on 2025, supported by a 2.9% increase in the number of schools, now totaling to 48,721 ECD classrooms across the nation. Infrastructure development, the construction of over 5,950 classrooms by county governments in 2025 alone. Teacher employment, counties have employed over 50,104 primary school teachers, building a workforce from the scratch, which was not there. Because when devolution happened, most of those caregivers who were the ECD teachers were not recognized in any way. They were not trained, most of them, and there were no functional system in both the software, which are the teachers, and the physical infrastructure. And today, the county governments have employed close to 50,104 primary school teachers. Counties now provide learning materials to a number of our ECD centers, which includes textbooks and even materials such as chairs and tables, which are tailored to meet the child at that level. And a number of counties today are actually supplying and providing chairs and tables for the children at that level, while at the same time, a number of counties are equally also giving out the school feeding program. We have classical cases like Bungoma County, where they're giving wholesale porridge, and other counties that are also doing the feeding. See, the senator is not very excited, but I'll ask the speaker to protect me on this one. Anyway, so we have such, and there's progress in terms of the feeding program. Distinguished senators, I would also want to mention that as a chair of the Committee of Education, we have formulated in partnership with experts in health and nutrition a school feeding policy that will be speaking to a unified feeding program across the county and advises the counties and stakeholders on the nature of meals that these children need to be fed. So that feeding program is not feeding programs for the sake of it. Lastly, is that on matters FTC, there has been tremendous improvement in terms of vocational training colleges across the counties. And we've seen attempts by the county governments to allocate resources of capitation to these particular FTCs. However, even as I conclude, we have, like I indicated, that these functions was not costed. In fact, up to 2018, the national government used to give 5 billion conditional grant to support FTC. But until when around 2018, the same money was scrapped and it was taken away. And so FTCs have been left to struggle under the little resources that the governors have within their disposal. As I conclude also, PS has mentioned a policy that was given some 2 years ago on the merging of the ECD training with the primary training. And I would wish to indicate here, PS, that we are in total disagreement with that policy, because the curriculum of ECD training is specialized, and it is meant globally to train these teachers as caregivers. And that is why if you look into the various pedagogical skills across scope of what they are being trained, is completely different from what the other levels is doing. And so it is out of a lot of respect, PS, that we have written to you as COG and requested you that you recall the circular that you provided to allow for proper consultation on the same, because we believe that if we merge this policy and train teachers in the similar way, then the child at that level will be denied access to quality caregivers meant for that level. And lastly, as we speak about that today, I also saw in the funding model, given your circular that you provided, already in the cluster funding of the higher education, the bachelors of education in ECDE is not going to be funded in that cluster. And there are already students in the university who are training as ECD professionals, and with the circular that you gave out in the cluster now that is just released in the 2026, those trainers will not benefit from government funding. And it's out of this great respect, peers, that we have requested you as the Council of Governors that please withdraw the circular and allow for proper consultation so that we can move forward together. Otherwise, as we paint a rosy picture or an unfortunate picture of ECDs, we also want to confess that we come from a very difficult ground, that these functions were not costed before they were given out to the counties. We have equally given an advisory to the counties as the chair of education that even as we struggle to give bursaries and support national government in a duty that they are supposed to be doing, our emphasis to counties is that we give more resources to vocational training centers, so that if we must support the children, we support in a more harmonized and a more intentional way, while not escaping from what has been devolved and what has been given to us. It is possible, PS, to put together, this is my view, all these bursaries that we have been giving out, from the ministry, from the governors, from the members of parliament. It is possible to put all this money together and provide free education for the nation, right from ECD all the way to the university. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. An applause for the panelists. Thank you, Governor. At least you are as converted as the Committee of Education that we can match things and go for free education. We need to start thinking how we can move towards that, and I think the PS has had. May I start with Senator Mariam, and then I come to Senator Moma, then I go to Murgor, then I'll come back to my senator here. Senator Mariam?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Session Chair. My question goes to the PS. Recently, there is a grade 10 student which was chased from the school because he is a Muslim. Because a Muslim only wear hijab. And I appreciate your direction, which you gave yesterday, that that you ordered that she must go back to school. I appreciate that. But my question is, because this is always recurring, it happened in 2022, 2019. So my question is, what measures do you take that this thing will not be recurrent? Secondly, what action have you taken from the school to the headmaster who chased away these grade 9 to grade 10 students? What action have you taken so that this cannot be recurrent? Thank you.
Thank you. I think I made I was supposed to invite the PS who was here before. Please move forward and take a seat, because your questions will also come forward.
Madam Chair.
Who is calling?
Madam Chair, there is also, to add on that, the Ministry 2023, they wrote a directive, March 2022 directive, to copy to the TSC, to all directors of education, to the counties. So if your directive, which you have wrote in 2023, cannot take actions, cannot be implemented by the counties, by the head teachers, what is your reaction on this one, on this chasing of these grade 10 students? Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Betty?
Thank you, Chair. Mine is on Thank you, Chair. We know that children and also the development of brain, the most crucial age is between 0 to 8 years. And that is where the ECD falls in. My question is, ECD teacher-pupil ratio in Kenya, or ratio, is 1 to 25. But in reality, in public schools, It is 1 into 60, 70, and even above. What is the ministry doing to ensure that they increase the number of teachers to have the ratio to the recommended 1? Finally, what is the strategy to ensure that ECD teachers are adequately prepared to handle CBE? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think those questions will go to both the Chair of Education in the Council of Governors and the PS. Senator Muma.
Thank you, Chair. My first question, or my first point is to appreciate PS Aurelia. When the Department for Parliamentary Liaison was established, many of us were wondering what this is all about. But from your presentation, I actually appreciate that such a department makes sense. My question to you is, are you able to quickly follow up on the development of regulations after Parliament has passed laws? I'll give an example. Persons with Disabilities Act had a tax exemption for parents of severely disabled children. The law was passed in last year, June. Regulations have not been made. So many parents want this to happen. The National Council for Persons with Disability and the Ministry, the Treasury, and the Ministry of Labor are just tossing those parents around instead of moving. Who is it who should help to trigger that to happen? To the team from education, the first question is the Intergovernmental Relations Sector Committee on Education functional? And if it is, can both of the Council of Governors and the PS tell us where the 55% of learners who finished Form 4 and have not gone to the TVETs, national TVETs, or the universities are? And this is every year. If you talk about last year, it's maybe about 500. The year previous, 500. Who is taking care of those? How many are going to VTCs, and where are the others? Then for Governor, you are excused for not doing ECDs because it was not costed. Were bursaries for primary schools and universities costed? And how come you have a huge budget, and you might want to tell us how much money collectively the counties have given to bursaries in secondary schools, to universities, including universities in Uganda, which is not your function, but you're not building ECDs.
Thank you. Senator Mulhall was next.
Thank you very much, panel chair or session chair. I have two questions. One to the education PS, and that is on the changes that have taken place from 844 to where we are today, which I don't know exactly what it is. And many parents now cannot actually put a finger on the system that you go from this to that. It is all still confusing. Why did we change it in the first place? Did we decide to do that, to chase after some system, maybe American system, maybe British or whatever it is, because we are actually as a country still lost as to what the system is. And then secondly is on ECDE, and I would like even the chair, the Council of Governors chair on education to also chip in this, because I don't know if he has a clue what is happening in other counties. Like my county, for example, ECDE is not a priority at all. And the government, the county government, has put a lot of emphasis on secondary education and college education and TVET and so on. And as Senator Muma has mentioned, even bursary has gone as far as Australia, supporting children of the executive. And so classrooms are in a very, very bad state in some of the settings, and some of them under trees, and then learning materials down to near zero, and then feeding program.
Please summarize. Go straight to the question so that we are faster.
Yes. And the teachers are taken in circles on their salaries and other benefits. They are told by next month, by 6 months, and so on. And so they are so frustrated. And so my question is, how can the ministry straighten this mess so that it is clearly into the mind and system of counties that ECDE is theirs and must be done?
Okay. The next three, AC, Mandago, and Eddie.
Thank you very much, Session Chair. Now, my first question has been asked, Governor Mutai. There is no excuse for counties on matters ECDE, particularly when you touch on resources. Having been a governor myself, I want to tell you, Kericho County government started with an allocation of about 3.5 billion in 2013. Today, Kericho County government receives in excess of 7 billion. Was in Gishu, by that time was receiving about 4 billion. It is now receiving in excess of 8 billion. There is no excuse. Let's concentrate on our mandates. And I want to thank the session chair. When she was a senator in the parliament of 2017-2022, they actually passed, made sure that the policy was passed on the issues of promotion, recruitment, remuneration of ECD teachers. What is remaining, Governor, is implementation. Number two, I would want to ask the PS for basic education whether the ministry has a policy for funding students in private universities, depriving national or public universities of the needed enrollment so as to be able to have sufficient resources to learn this university. And I want to give you a very good example. Moi University, in 2023, were allocated 5,000 students from a capacity that Moi University used to have an enrollment of excess of 18,000 teachers. And those students were taken to private universities, and other small universities, new universities were given in excess of 15,000 teachers without respecting the teacher-student or the lecturer-student ratio. Is there a policy, or we are continuing as a tradition of what had been established? For PS Aurelia, I would like to know, my Committee of Health in the Senate received a petition from the medical students of Kenyatta University on the use of KUT-TRH as a teaching facility. We processed the petition and we made recommendations. Specifically, we recommended that the academic block that was built, designed for teaching and research, that had been rented out by KUT-TRH, and the biggest tenant was WHO. I am also aware that the lease for WHO is expiring somewhere either this month or next month. What are you going to do to make sure that that academic block that was meant for teaching and research goes back to Kenyatta University School of Health Science so that they're able to use it for teaching. Madam Chair, just allow me 1 second so that PS might not have the benefit of the historical background of that matter. The issue was students of Kenyatta University who are supposed to be the owners of KUT-TRH were actually not being given access to the use of the KUT-TRH hospital. They were going to do their practicals in Kiambu. And Mount Kenya University, a private university, was the one actually utilizing the hospital that was conceptualized, designed, and built by Kenyatta University. I want you to make a very serious follow-up. We have had discussion with SCAC, we have had discussion with the university, and we agreed when the lease expires, that whole facility should go to the School of Health Science. Finally, allow me to, Chair, one more question, because I have to tell Mutai. On VTCs, Chair, you remember when you were a senator, the capitation for VTCs was actually transferred in that period of 2017-2022. The capitation for every VTC student was 13,000. It is part of the share of revenues counties are receiving. What you only need to do is go back and implement that. For every student you have in your VTC, give that VTC 13,000, and you will be surprised with the enrollment you will realize in the VTCs.
Thank you. I gave him leeway because of experience, so let's be more brief. Senator Esi.
Thank you, Session Chair. My question goes to the PS Basic Education. Apart from my legislative work, I equally donate books to schools, so this caught my attention. A few weeks ago, the Auditor General flagged off 540 million irregularities in distribution of textbooks to public schools. Please shed light on that, or if indeed that's the case, have any investigations begun on that matter? Thank you.
Senator.
Thank you, Session Chair. My question is to the PS. My question is actually 2 or 3 very quickly. Number one, PS, I've had a lot of cases in Migori County of people who finished, training long time ago as teachers, from 1998 all the way to 15 years. And in this massive recruitment, which I applaud the president for, having done over 76,000 teachers recruitment, could you give the country light on your prioritization schedule on teachers who graduated before, let's say 2 years ago? Because it's not clear who are these people who get opportunities when there are a lot of people who still claim that they graduated a long time ago and they never get opportunities. I would want to hear your response to that, and perhaps your commitment to the Senate, if you can give us a computation of how this map looks like in terms of prioritization of those people who are taken now in teachers currently. The second question is on specific to Migori County. In your July 2025 revision of the classification of hardship, Migori County did not get classified as hardship areas, especially in 2 areas, Nyatike constituency and Kuria, both Kuria East and Kuria West constituencies. Yet the hardship that we face in those areas are the ones that we see in places like Mandera and other places. Is there a reason why Nyatike, Kuria East, and Kuria West are not classified as such? Then first, do you have a multi-agency response to the current ongoing floods and rains that are making sure that some kids are not getting to schools in some areas such as Nyatike, Kuria, and the larger Migori areas where floods have been able to make it difficult for children to access schools? Is there any response to deal with these calamities to make kids be able to access schooling in these kind of areas? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mirach.
Asante Bi Mwenyekiti, swali langu litaenda moja kwa moja kwa PS. Nipende kumjulisha ya kwamba mtaala wa 844 unaisha mwaka wa 2027. Na kama sponsor wa Care and Protection of Child Parents, ambao maudhumuni yake ni kuhakikisha tunafikia ile Article 43 1B ya kwamba watoto wetu wote wanapata haki yao ya masomo. Nimefatwa na zaidi ya wanafunzi 200 ambao wangetamani sana waweze kukalia huo mtihani wao kwa sababu walitelekezwa wakapata ujauzito wa mapema. So wameomba sana ni vipi watawezeshwa waweze kukelia huo mtihani kabla huu mtaala haujafungwa. Naomba unipatie mwelekeo ili nikirudi nyumbani niwe na majibu kwa hawa watoto ambao wanataka kuazimia kumaliza masomo yao. Asante.
Thank you. The panelists would like to take that first round, then I will start with Senator Wakoli when I come round. Round 2. Please go ahead. We'll start with the Governor.
Thank you so much. Also, for the benefit of insight, I appreciate the senators for the sharing of their experiences on these matters. I would wish to indicate that on matters ECD training and preparation for CPC curriculum, the counties have constantly and consistently organized for training in service and constant training of those teachers so that they are prepared to handle the CPC curriculum at their level. Number two, a question has been raised that the teacher ratio is ideally supposed to be 1 to 25, 1 teacher to 25, and I agree totally as a professional teacher myself. The reality is that because of the scarce resources, most of the counties have not been able to reach that targeted ratio, but I believe, and we have given us advisory to governors in the council, that as you continue to commit resources, we recommit more resources to employ more teachers so that at least that ratio gap is met. I totally agree with the sentiments of bursaries, which in the past were being dished out haphazardly to institutions which is not within the mandate of the counties. It was insane that county governments could at some point even budget pastors to secondary school. And as COG, as we speak today, we have given out advisory as a council, and most of the commitment that we are giving to this Senate is that much resources will be given to the FTCs and also to the ECD Foundation. We have developed a curriculum, a scheme of service for the ECD teachers across that guides the counties in consultation with SRC, which is fully developed. Most of the counties have been able to implement the schemes of service. Kericho, for example, and my senator is here, I see he's smiling and he's appreciating that in Kericho, we are leading in the pack. In fact, my teacher now, my ECD teacher of certificate is earning 25,000 at the 28th of the month. In fact, I pay more than what the national government is paying their interns in the junior secondary school, because they are paying, I think, 18,000. But my certificate teacher is earning 25,000. My diploma teacher is earning 3,000. My degree teacher is earning 40,000. And the 1,600 teachers are all on permanent and pensionable terms. Other counties like Kitui, Kirinyaga have done likewise, while other counties, and I give you, I'll cite an example of the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet, which in terms of the budget they receive, if today they decide to onboard all these teachers on permanent pensionable term, that county will be reduced to be an HR county for payment because the entire budget would collapse. So there are attempts that we are moving towards that as we even build classrooms. Lastly, was a question on the FTCs. I agree with the sentiments of the senators. And I agree with the question that somebody asked, where are these children? It is a very good question. Most counties have been able to revamp their FTCs. I'll cite for you a case of Kericho County. What we did, for example, is intentional campaign where we intentionally gave capitation and scholarship to those guys in FTCs. And the turnaround is massive because once we did this campaign, once we gave them the free scholarship, last year alone, we were able to graduate 3,800. And this year, we have 5,000 that already are in their classrooms. And this is happening across most of the counties as we continue to encourage counties to reform the FTCs because this is a solution to the politics. However, Session Chair, I wouldn't want to leave without mentioning this, that we are equally working on a schemes of service for the FTC trainers. And this is, we appreciate the Ministry of Education, which we have been working very closely with them and the School of DVETA in terms of harmonizing curriculum to guide the instructors within those levels. Thank you so much. I think I've tried.
Thank you, Governor.
Chair.
But please avoid majority of the counties because he has a contrary report. That's why she's in a hurry to answer.
Yes, Chair, if you can give me a minute, Chair. Maybe I'm glad that the Chair, COG, has mentioned that going forward, they're going to work hard on matters budgetary because from what we have seen and from all the counties that we have gone for an oversight visit, most of these counties actually budget more for bursaries and scholarships than they budget for ECDE, which is not their function. Actually, we are aware that most county governments are now signing intergovernmental partnerships with the Ministry of Education using Article 189 of the Constitution so as to offer bursaries and scholarships. And I hope before the end of this session, you are going to explain more on that. Number two, the issue of ratio to teachers, teachers to student ratio was brought up, and I want to put to you today that in most counties, actually, we've been to 29. Maybe if we talk about 25 of the counties, the ratio is actually up to even 1 to 100. So please, when you are giving those answers, I hope that you are going to elaborate more on that and give us a way forward of what you are going to do, because that is what we are looking for. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair, for highlighting those. PS.
Thank you very much, Senator Chair. Allow me to begin by answering the question by Governor Mutai on this training of ECD teachers. I want to say that, as I said in my speech, we are open for further consultations. And right now, apart from the someone from the Senate, from the chair of the Senate Committee of Education, we have not received any formal request to withdraw that circular. And I call upon the Council of Governors. You can give us an official communication so that we can be able to engage on a transitional arrangement. We are ready. However, it is important to note that this matter has been taken to court and is in court. But we can still take some action, some administrative action to ensure that we agree on the way forward. Coming back to Senator, is it Senator Maina who asked about grade 10? Senator Mariam asked about what action have we taken about the case of a child in Luak Secondary School. Of course, as the ministry, we have taken a decisive action to ensure that the child is back to school. As we speak now, the child has gone to school. However, I want to say that the question of hijab in that school is not a legal issue. It's a social issue. It's a social issue. The Ministry of Education is very clear on this matter. The law is very clear that no child shall be discriminated on religion, on any other, for any other reason. So we are very clear on this issue. However, it's important to note that we are still doing investigation to understand really what happened on that particular case. And we have given very clear instructions to our field officers that if they detect any of these kind of behaviors, they should report as soon as possible. Coming back to Senator Beth, who asked me about the ratio, teacher-student ratio. Right now, we have 12 million students in primary, junior, and secondary school, against 458,000 teachers. So as we speak, the ratio is 1 to 26 right now. And the government will continue employing teachers. The international UNESCO standard for teacher-student ratio is 1 to 25. But in Kenya, we are doing 1 to 26. So we are doing fairly okay. However, it's important to note that the distribution of some of these teachers still remains an issue, a major issue. And I call upon the senators, Honorable House, through the Speaker, to help us really
deal with this issue of distribution. We find that as much as we meet the demand, some of the teachers are concentrated in some areas of this country and very few in some other areas of this country. And it's really a very unfortunate issue. When you look at the statistics, we are okay. But when it comes to distribution, it becomes a major issue. Coming back to the question by Senator Muma as to whether what happens to 55% of the students who are not qualified to go to university, I want to say that there was an improvement overall on KCSE this year. This year, 27% of the students qualified to join university. The international standard is that 30% of the students need to qualify. That is, out of 980,000, 270,000 qualified. And we are within the ranges. But the remaining students who don't qualify to the university have opportunities. They have opportunities in TVETs, they have opportunities in VTCs, they have opportunities in teacher training colleges, KMTCs, and many other opportunities. And from where I sit, there's really a lot of improvement in enrollment to our TVETs. About 3 years ago, we had about 150,000 students in our TVETs. Right now, as we speak, we are now doing 800,000, and they're increasing. So there are more opportunities in our tertiary institutions that can be able to take care of the 55% of the students who don't qualify to go to university. Senator Murgor asked a question on competence-based education, or CBC. Why did we change in the first place? As a teacher, Senator Murgor, through the chair, it is important to note that curricula is dynamic and it should reflect the national needs of a nation. And every after some time, a nation should review their curricula to see whether it reflects the national needs or rather it captures the national interest of a nation. 844 system has served us for more than 40 years, and it has done very well to bring as many people as possible. The reason why we had to change from 844 to CBE, competence-based education, is because competence-based education focuses more on the skills, the talent, the competences, the abilities of a child. If you are good in music, for example, you are given a chance to start learning music early in your education. If you are good in science, you are given an opportunity to do STEM and to do sciences early in senior school. What 844 was not able to capture. You can remember, when we are transitioning from junior to senior school, we now have specializations, 3 specializations. We have STEM, we have social science, we have arts and sports. Something that is not in 844. In 844, you do 8 subjects, everybody does 8 subjects, and that is it. So, the new curricula is what the world is going through. If you look at many countries, even the Canada, Finland, US, everybody is trying to give every learner an opportunity to do best that thing that they know and that they're talented in. And that is why we have to shift from 844 to competence-based education. Coming to the question by Senator Mandago on the policy of admission to universities. Over the years, we've seen there's been a shift in policy on private universities. During the previous government, private universities used to get capitation or money from the government. When this government came to power, that policy has changed. It has changed. Private universities no longer get money from the government to support the students like before. And the main criteria used, or rather the main policy used by COOPs to take students is largely capacity, performance of the student. If you are very good in sciences, chances are that you'll get to medicine and such other programs. And also the choices of the students. There are students who choose, instead of going to University of Nairobi, they can choose Daystar University to do a certain course, because the story is in Daystar University, this course is being offered there and they like it. So it's about choice, it's about capacity. But by and large, the new funding model has streamlined higher education by and large. And students now are being given opportunity to choose from whatever university they want to go, whether it is private or is public. Senator Esi asked about books, and I have the CEO of KICD here. Allow me, Madam Chair, to request the CEO of KICD to respond on the issue of books. Professor Ongondo is here, if I'm allowed by the standing orders, to allow him to comment.
Let's get him last.
Yes.
Yeah, just hold on with that question. Let's get to PS Aurelia first. Then we'll check I think there are only four hands that were up.
Yes,
so we'll address that one last.
There's one more question, Senate Chair. No, two more questions. One from the Senator of Bigori, who asked about teachers' employment and what really is a priority. I think the major consideration in employment of teachers is the year of graduation. The system TSC is using to hire teachers, the 100,000, has been those who graduated earlier are given first priority. That is the policy across the board. And when they are ranking, usually those who graduated earlier are given higher marks in the grading so that you arrive at who gets. In as far as hardship is concerned, this is a controversial issue. And this issue remains a sticky issue. As you may recall, the PCS about 6 months ago issued a circular on issues of hardship, and it became very controversial because different government agencies consider different places as hardship. Right now, consultations are going on to really arrive at a consensus on what really constitutes an hardship. And we request the support of senators so that we can be able to arrive at a proper criteria. Because what TSC considers hardship, another ministry doesn't consider hardship, another agency doesn't, and then it becomes really a very mixed area. So right now, as we speak, there are consultations to ensure that we arrive at a consensus on which areas of this country qualify to be called hardship. On floods, Senator from Migori, there is a multi-agency team led by the Deputy President's Office and the State Department for Special Programs that is working on the floods. And resources have been provided by the donors to ensure that we handle the issue of floods and the issue of drought around the country. Also some of the natural disasters we have around the country. Senator Miraj, the government is very clear on the issue of early pregnancies and children who drop out of school. Last week, I had gone to Kisii County to receive 200 girls who are dropped out of school because of pregnancy. The government is very clear. We are encouraging every child to go back to school, whether they are pregnant or they are not pregnant or whatever, for whatever reason. So our policy is very clear. We want every child to go back to school. And I've been leading that quest to ensure that we mop all our girls from, and we are working very closely with our security agencies, and we are saying anybody who is found interfering with our young girls should be brought to book. And we are very clear on that policy. Thank you, Senator Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator. PS Aurelia.
Thank you very much, Session Chair, Senator Professor Kamar. I have two questions. The first question was from Senator Muma, who just stepped out, but I'll continue to respond. Senator Muma asked us whether we, as the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, are able to follow up on the statutory instruments after the passage of a law in Parliament. The response is yes. We coordinate before it's drafted by the AG officially, and statutory instruments. That's why we've been able to transition about 202 out of the 654 that are in the schedule. It's only that when the State Department was still very new, it's about 2.5 years financial year, as I said earlier, and we had to do a lot of work to get staff to be able to do this work. But that is what we do In fact, we've communicated to the MDAs to ensure that they have regulations ready, even as they wait for the passage of a law, so that once that law is approved, is passed, and is assented to, the regulations are ready so that we don't waste much time waiting for them to be processed. So we are aware that there are some laws, like what Senator Muma had mentioned, and we are taking note of that to go and follow up on the processing of the same, because that is what we do. Item 2, question 2, was from Senator Mandago, touching on the resolution on a petition that is touching on Kenyatta University Teaching, Research and Referral Hospital. I said earlier that the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs is following up, tracking with MDAs on the resolutions of Parliament and executive undertakings in Parliament. You've said it has taken quite some time, but I will go back to the ask that I did earlier, that please share with us our Senate, share with us the resolutions immediately they are passed by the Senate, so that we get the opportunity to track the ministry or the agency that is responsible to ensure that it is implemented, and we communicate back to you. This one we will surely do, and I said earlier, we appreciate the resolutions that we received towards the end of last year. We thank the clerk and the entire Senate fraternity for that support. Once we have them, we surely promise that we shall coordinate the agencies involved, and we will be communicating to you on the status of their implementation. So Senator Mandago, we've picked that, and we will ensure that we track it and communicate back to Senate on the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to beg the members that we still have a session. They have 2 or 3 governors still seated waiting for that session. Can we take the shortest time possible? Just go direct to the question. I'll start with Wakoli Wafula, then I'll come to Butuku, then I'll come to
Thank you.
Then I'll come. Yes, KICD will speak last.
Thank you, Prof, for this opportunity. One, I want to ask our good peers that we have local schools that are closing down because we have big schools absorbing many grade 10 students, up to 10 streams. And during those times, you could go to look for space. They will tell you, we don't have any space in this school. But today, it seems like there is more grace for space. Are they pursuing quality education, or they are pursuing a capitation which will be shared among ministry officials and TSC and the management of the schools? Number 2, I don't know which institution will oversight and follow up on the schemes of service of ECDs and vocational training centers. Because where we sit now, they have no union, they have no one to fight for them. They are at the mercies of governors and the ministries of education. The job groups, the way they are located, it is in a sham. So who is going to ensure, either from the national government, that our good governor who is seated here does not employ because of benevolence or because of political expediency?
Point taken.
Thank you.
Point taken.
Point of information.
No, not now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just 2 quick ones to the PS. One, PS, it is estimated that we have 2 million special needs kids. Out of these, only 2% are in school or have formal education. What is your ministry doing to address this? And 2, yes, you paid 44 billion in capitation in January, but cumulatively there is 64 billion which is owed from 2018 to 2025. What are you doing with those historical debts? Thank you.
Thank you. Eddie,
Yeah,
who do you want to inform?
Madam Chair, you remember we worked on a bill on early childhood education together with you that has just passed Senate, that is now in National Assembly. that is dealing with the scheme of service of teachers, as well as looking at their remuneration, to be able to make it to be at par, at least with their qualifications. So what I would perhaps urge the majority whip to do is to appeal to the National Assembly to fast track that bill, because we already passed that bill in the Senate.
Thank you, Eddie, but the governors will tell you they also have already something they are working on, and we found that in the field. Thank you, Senator Oyomo.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Whip, I'm on the floor. Thank you, Chair. PS Rono, amongst the regulations you are going to follow up with, kindly follow with the Ministry of Mining, because royalties cannot be paid to communities and counties because the ministry has yet to prepare the regulations. Yet it is communities and counties that preserve and protect the natural resources. To the PS, the ministry promised that all schools should have JS, and that is the expectations of Kenyans. And yet there are schools who don't have. So learners have to walk long distances that compromise access to education. And lastly, I do not know what the ministry is going to do about learning areas that were not captured with the pupils that have transited now to the senior school. There are big gaps with some of those students. There is need to give attention to those learning students, pupils that did not have teachers that covered all the learning areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wakwabi.
Thank you, Session Chair. My name is Senator Wakwabubi, not Wabi. Thank you. So my concern is cross-board, and I would like to begin by saying that basic education, that is ECD, is the basic foundation for any scholarly pursuits, and therefore we need to give it the necessary attention that it requires. I want us to look at food, the supply of food. Majorly we do porridge and some other small items. Senator Wafula, kindly protect me from Senator Wafula. He's busy smiling at me. He will deviate me from what I would want to present.
People miss smiles.
So, I wanted to say this, that we need to enhance the school feeding programs for retention. While I was growing up, we used to take the Moi milk, and it really kept us in school. So we need to enhance the retention of the school feeding programs, especially in food insecure counties that we have. And we also need to have a sustainable model of maybe retaining whatever incentives that we are giving to retain our students in school, our learners in school. Then we also need to diversify schooling options, especially in pastoralist areas, so that we can also have maybe evening classes, because some of these learners cannot be kept in school or cannot be found in the morning or afternoons. Then there is this issue on security. Nobody has talked about it, and I think it is a concern, because you find that most of the learners are abducted along the way while they are going to school, and therefore we need to encourage the department concerned that let us conceptualize the laws and enforce the laws, especially the Children Act 2022, Basic Education Act, the TVET Act, and the Universities Act. And finally, let's look at the absorption strategy. We are churning out a lot of graduates, but they are going nowhere. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Senator Wakwabubi. This time
Yeah, thank you very much, Session Chair.
I think finally it's Senator Oya. We still have one more.
Yeah,
Senator
thank you.
Tangwa.
Thank you very much. Mine is just an inquiry. Where are we as a country towards achieving free primary education and free secondary education? Because, Chair, let me just break it down for you. The recipe, or what you require to be a learned person, you need a teacher, you need the materials, which is the books, you need a classroom, and you need the pupil or the learner. Now, the learners are there for free. The classes are there because maybe they are built by CDF or they are being built by CDF. The teachers are already there. They are being paid by government. So the only cost that we have is probably textbooks or books. Why can't the government just do what they used to do before by printing these books for the students or providing it in PDF format? Because the government owns the curriculum, the government owns the syllabus, so the government can have already PDF books for the students, so that we don't use the money that the public coffers give to buy books from the private publishers. I believe if the country can print ballot boxes, ballot papers for everybody in this country, I believe they can print books for the students. Why can't we just go towards that direction of realizing that this education is supposed to be free, and the only costly thing is the books, which now with digital kind of technology, you can give a PDF and a parent can go and print a book wherever they want.
Thank you, Senator. Finally, Senator, our Vice Chair of the Water.
Thank you, Madam Professor. My question is to you, Honorable PS. To balance out the disparity in the teacher-to-student ratio, can we get a precise and clear reason as to why the JSS and interns have not been confirmed countrywide, and what exactly is the delay? Because these young people are going through a lot of frustration, yet they want to serve our country. Thank you.
I invite the professor to come forward and answer on the books. And while I do that, there are two things that I thought we may have missed. PS has answered about, did not answer about students going to private universities, but I think he answered his way. Our way in Senate is that governors are actually sponsoring students to go to private universities. So it may not be yours. It might belong to the governor. No, the backlog, I think they are still dealing with the backlog, those who had been given. But otherwise, the policy came out, and I don't think they are being paid anymore. Number two, and my chair, just in case my chair forgets, the issue of there's now a conflict between VTCs and TVET institutions on the numbers. And I remember we went to a county and we were told that they don't have enough students because the students that go to the VTCs, that is now the TTI, are sponsored, while the ones in VTCs are not sponsored. We need your comment, Governor. Professor, please come.
Thank you very much, my teacher, Professor Kamar. Mr. Speaker, sir, and all the senators, I'm really humbled to stand before you. It's my first time in life, and I hope, Professor Chair, you will allow me to greet the Speaker after this. Will be historical. The question was on the matter that has been raised by the Auditor General on distribution of textbooks. There are three main issues that the Auditor General raised. One of them is oversupply, another one is undersupply, and the third one was supposedly supply of textbooks that are not relevant to schools. The answer to them lies on the data that the Auditor General relied on the numbers of learners in schools that were provided in NEMIS. Yet, when we distribute books to schools, we use actual numbers that are provided to us by the relevant directors at the ministry on the actual numbers of learners at school at that time. And my PS is on record even today saying that a verification exercise has been carried out which has discovered that there were discrepancies earlier on the numbers on NEMIS, and going forward we should be able to use actual numbers. And that is a clarification that we have given to the Office of the Auditor General. Thank you very much, Chair.
Madam Chair, just in 1 second while Professor is still standing. So which one is the accurate figure? Is it the one the officers are submitting or the one from NEMIS? Because I thought the one from NEMIS is tied to a birth certificate, at least to give some accuracy. The one from the officers can be just a list of names, and you're not used to work in TSC.
Thank you very much, my governor at Uasin Gishu. My PS has clarified, and even the CS is on record, that the numbers that were on NEMIS were not an accurate reflection of the numbers of the learners on the ground. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Now you earn a handshake with the Speaker. And while he's doing that, I just wanted to add something, PS, on the policy on who goes to university. Does a diploma still go to university? Are universities still allowed to deal with diploma candidates? Those are the candidates below C+. And the last one is, we have found that TTIs are now taking the students for trade tests. What is the policy? Who should be giving trade tests? Because this is where the confusion is. TTIs are taking trade tests apart from the diploma courses. I will ask each one of you to take 1 minute. I don't know how you will sort the 1 minute.
I go first?
Yes.
Thank you. One is that in the 1 minute, I want to confirm to distinguished senators and this House that there is an existing scheme of service which was done way back by the Council of Governors in consultation with the CRC, and that is what we are currently implementing. Number two, on the school feeding program, we are working on a policy with my committee and the Committee of Health to come up with a standardized feeding policy that guides the feeding of our children across the counties. On FTCs and TFETs, I agree, Professor Kamar, on your sentiments. Ideally, FTCs are supposed to provide craft courses, which goes for a period of around 6 months, and it should be done, so that the TFETs handle the higher specialized levels. But as it is today, county FTCs and TFETs are struggling to offer the same courses, and we would wish maybe the PSS to move forward. We work on a policy and a more clear formula on who should be admitted to the FTCs and who should go to the TFETs. Because you have a county FTC here, and then less than a kilometer away, you have a national TFET institution. But ironically, all these children belongs to Kenya. And it defeats logic then why the government is educating, or rather giving out loans to students on TVET, but vice versa, the FTC are not receiving any of that support. And maybe going to the future, perhaps that should be looked into. And because I want to get back to this, Mike, I would want to say as a general observation that, yes, I know we have challenges as counties, and I commit to this House and we commit as governors that we will work hard to ensure that we focus on our mandate, which is the FTCs and ECDEs. And lastly, distinguished senators and the peers, looking into the scope within our universities today, Professor Kamar will agree with me that one of the challenges we have even within our universities are arbitrary causes that the University Senate approves to create numbers in the universities. My proposal going to the future is that we go back to what it was before. When you could talk about University of Nairobi, it was known that this is what University of Nairobi is offering. Kenyatta University was known for the arts. Egerton University was known for this. But you'll find a university which was created for technology or for agriculture offering nothing completely even to do with that agriculture because of competition for numbers. And as it is today, the lecturers are even struggling. I am one of them. Before I joined politics, we used to moonlight and part-time. And I would confess, Professor Kamar, that we have universities to date that even lecturers are going on half salary because they cannot afford to pay them salaries. And you have universities which completely, for a period of 1 year or so, they've not been able to pay their lecturers completely. And out of this, then it compromise on the quality of learning towards the same. And maybe in the future, we strengthen university senate to be able to generate their own resources, because government cannot fund fully. But we challenge also the university senate to be able to be more creative and generate more resources. Asante sana.
Thank you, PS. Or Chair, did you want to talk first?
Thank you. Thank you, Session Chair. What I would say is with the establishment of the county education boards, I'm hoping and trusting that the national government will now enhance its primary duty as pursuant to Executive Order 2 of 2023 to undertake. These are the few challenges that we have encountered or we have come across, aligning the VTCs and TVETs programs and activities so that the VTCs learners don't feel left out by programs organized by the government, and also management of education standards as a whole, because this has been, whatever has been devolved has been left out to the county governments, and I think we are having a problem there. And also managing and organizing of curriculum development for VTCs, because that has not been done, and looking into special needs education management, because even that, it's also left out, and especially the county governments are not doing much. And also maybe, as it has been said by one of the senators, we need a constant school feeding program. These programs has helped retain learners in schools, and that is evident from what we've seen, not only in those hardship areas, but even in cities where we have so many schools in the informal settlements. I think that's what I would say for now.
Thank you, PS Aurelia. And maybe even as she talks about that, governors must, we would like the governors to think a little bit about what is food. Is food for the children a devolved function, or it is not? Think about it, because it is a right in the Bill of Rights, food and nutrition. So you need to think so that if it is a function that doesn't belong to you, you may wish to think deeply about it. We have been thinking about it as a committee of education, that maybe as we are pushing you to give food, and one governor told us, if I give food, I'll do nothing else, but just feed. So is food security actually yours? You need to think, and you can think later. I can see the chair of the Council of Governors would like to say something. I'll give you last, but let's allow PS Aurelia to say a point.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. It's just one item from Senator Beatrice on a regulation that has overstayed, that is impeding the payment of royalties. Thank you for bringing it up. I want to register our commitment as a State Department to follow up on that regulation and communicate. Otherwise, as a State Department, as I said earlier, that is coordinating government legislative agenda, we will not only be pushing or following these initiatives across the executive, but we commit to ensure that executive or government engages with Senate in a timely, orderly, and in a very honest manner. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Finally, PS.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Professor Kamar. Now, on the question by Senator Wafula on transition, I'm happy to inform the Senate, honorable senators, that we are almost achieving 100% transition from junior school to senior school. Of course, the system was very digital, was quite digital. We used a digital system to place students around the country. When we started, we had 1.5 million spaces and 1.1 million children. Meaning, after placement, we are going to have 400,000 extra slots with no children. That is the reality of it. And of course, we had a challenge when we were doing it, because 20 former national schools attracted more than 100,000 students. And yet their capacity only was about 10,000. So that was where the problem and the whole of this noise was. The likes of Kenya High, Alliance, Mangu, those are the schools everybody wanted to go to. Like one school was attracting almost 18,000 students, one school. And that is where the noise was coming from. But overall, we have been able to transition most of the students. In our first placement, we were able to place the entire 1.1 million. But then we said, because of the parents who are interested in other schools, we gave them the first choice to revise. For the first time, we opened an opportunity for revision for senior school. First revision, 300,000 students revised. We processed 200,000. We allowed them to change the schools. And 100,000 were declined. We again opened after that for second revision. Another 200,000 again came by. We allowed 150,000. 50,000 were declined. And that is the process we have been going through to ensure that every child in this country gets an opportunity for senior school. The second question by Senator Mbugua on the issue of capitation. The government does not have any debt on capitation. Capitation is a recurrent expenditure. We release all the money we receive as Minister of Education that is budgeted for capitation to the schools. And if there is money that does not get to a school for one reason or another, then that money is not being budgeted by the National Assembly. So there is no debt whatsoever. There is no debt on capitation. What we are doing now, we are trying to ensure that capitation is in school before schools open every term. And we are asking the principals, after you receive capitation, ensure that you digitally transmit your returns of the number of students in the school, of the amount of money you have received, and if there is any shortfall, we're able to really bridge that gap. Senator Oyoma asked me about the JS. Right now, Honorable Senators, through the chair, we have 20,000 junior schools around the country. Every day, we have requests of schools who want to open the junior school in their schools. And we are granting them that if they meet the criteria, we have a set criteria of how to open a junior school. And we continue doing it every day through our quality assurance department. And we are very clear. And for those learners who are transitioning, who didn't have the right learning skills, we are saying 51 of the learners are doing STEM. 30% of the learners are doing social sciences. And 10% are doing arts and sports in grade 10. Senator Wakwabubi asked about feeding program. We believe that feeding program is an integral part of our education system. It is so important. Right now, we have 2.8 billion learners in primary and junior under the feeding program. And we continue supporting them. And we want to encourage the county governments to come up with a framework. We work together, we come up with a framework so that we have all the learners right from ECD, primary to junior, getting into a feeding program, because that is what has encouraged more and more of our learners to be able to be retained in school. Senator Dagwa gave a comment and a proposal on why do we still need to print textbooks? Why don't we go PDF? I think that's a brilliant suggestion, and we are keen. That's where we are now going with chemists. Right now we have a project working with Minister of ICT. We are rolling out 25,000 laptops in our schools, primary schools particularly, and smart boards. And that is where we are heading to now. We want to ensure that we leverage on technology to ensure that we reduce even the number of books, we reduce even the learning. One teacher can be able to teach now more students. That's the direction we are going. Senator Zena asked about JS. Why have we not confirmed them? We have a program to confirm all our JS teachers. As you are aware, last year we hired 20,000 JS teachers. And the president has pronounced himself on this issue, that starting January this year, the entire 20,000 will be confirmed. We have also taken last month, we have taken another 24,000. And we are taking them through internship for 2 years, and thereafter, they will be automatically confirmed under permanent and pensionable. So that is a program that is ongoing, and because of budgetary constraints, we are staggering it so that we can able to, so that the government can be able to meet and be able to accommodate everybody. Senate Chair, Senator Kamar asked about private universities. I think Governor Mutai here should be able to answer why they are paying fees for students who are in private universities. Then that was your question. And the policy on whether the universities are supposed to train diploma and the line between vocational training and TVETs, I think there's a thin line there. And we need to consult more so that we get clarity on which universities, which TVETs, which vocational training should train what, so that we reduce the overlaps and waste of government resources. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, members. Can an applause for this team, please? Chair of COG, I prefer that you answer your question alongside all the intergovernmental issues that are going to come, because the next session is yours. I want to thank this team most sincerely for the time they have given us and release them warmly. Thank you very much. May I therefore invite the next chair of the session, Senator Catherine Muma, to take to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Sincere apologies to this particular panel. It is quite late, and we have Chair of Council of Governors, Chair of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations Committee of Senate, both of them Muslims. So this is a tall order, having this session at this time. I'd like to invite all of them to come. We will try to move fast. I'd like to invite Senator Mohammed Abbas, Chairperson of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Please come up onto the stage. The Chairperson, Council of Governors, Honorable Ahmed Abdullahi, please come up. Mr. Michael Lenasalon, Principal Secretary, State Department for Devolution, please come up. And then we have I think the Vice Chair for IGRTC coming up. We have Honorable Seth Kamansa, Chairperson, County Assemblies. Please come up. I'd like to ask colleagues to settle down. Let us give 100% support to this panel so that we can actually go through this quickly. To the panel, karibuni sana, and allow me to skip your bio. I know you are big men and women. I will not say so because I want us to move on. I will also not recite the good things that each of your officers have done. I will go straight to the questions so that we are able to move on this issue. To begin, as an introduction, the Fourth Senate has done a lot of things through the different committees and in the plenary to ensure that devolution works. A number of the things that I have done is to pass laws to strengthen devolved governance, is to carry out inquiries to find out a number of issues raised by Wananchi, is to try and engage with the stakeholders, including yourselves, IGRTC, the State Department, to try and see how we can strengthen intergovernmental relations, to also engage with county actors, county assemblies, to see how to strengthen oversight and devolution at the county level. Some of the things we have done is to inquire why we have stalling in some of the things that would implement devolution. For example, the Senate has gone round to try and investigate the amounts of stalled projects in counties. Even as we are complaining we don't have funds, we have habits where the governor who comes after the one who was there decides to start afresh, and billions are actually being wasted in stalled accounts. So this is a conversation to try and help us to see what can we do better in order to strengthen devolution. So my first question will go to the Chairperson of Council of Governors. Your Excellency, in December of 2024, the summit resolved that all functions of counties be unbundled and transferred to counties. The IGRTC was given the task to do this job, and this job was expressed in a Gazette notice when IGRTC issued a Gazette notice indicating the functions that were being implemented by national government actors in terms of parastatals, and that Gazette notice seems to have turned out to be what the Chief Justice might call hot air, because those functions are yet to be transferred and funds following those functions are yet to happen. What is the Council of Governors doing as a matter of follow-up on this very important issue within the summit? And this is an important question because the Council of Governors is always complaining that you don't have enough funds. Those funds are held up at the national government in implementing some of those functions. What is your view on that?
Thank you, Senator, Chair of this session. Senator, I'm struggling with my voice, so I hope I'm audible. Yes, in December of 2024, precisely on the 16th of December, following a summit meeting, a number of functions were gazetted and thereby transferred. But the summit resolution indicated that the resources attendant to those functions will follow through beginning the 1st of July of 2025. Actually before that time, there was another gazettement which was rescinded. That summit decision was restating what was then agreed. In the first, and IGRTC is represented here, I'm sure she will commend my sister. In the first Gazette notice, the amount of resources attached to the functions that were transferred was to the tune of 272 billion shillings in IGRTC's own unbundling. And that's why that Gazette notice was rescinded, because Big Brother felt that that was too much money to go to counties. And then we followed through till this summit decision, which took out some things which are still contentious, a few here and there, but largely transferred the functions, but none of the resources. So where we are, our hands are literally tied as a council. The question of division of revenue is more a matter for the Houses of Parliament than for the Council of Governors. it's more a matter for CRA than the Council of Governors. We just make our case, beginning with CRA, and then we take it to IBEC. In IBEC, we always register a disagreement because we never get what we sought out to get based on the unbundled functions. Thereafter, it goes to the Senate. Senate takes a position. After Senate, you know the process. Usually it ends up in a disagreement. I was just listening to the PS who was here before in the last session, saying that his ministry got an increase of 300 billion shillings in 3 years. From 400 billion, those were his own words, to 700 billion shillings. County governments have in the same period gotten a total of 35 billion shillings for the entire pot of equitable share, from 380 when we came into this term to 415 last term. So this is a game of resources. One ministry gets 300 billion increase in 3 years or 4 years. The entire 47 governments at the county level, for the 14 devolved functions, get 35. Session Chair, I don't think there's anything that the COG can really do other than appear at the Senate Budget Committee. At times we're even called to the National Assembly Budget Committee, and we, grudgingly and hesitatingly, in the hope that, they will be reasonable with us in terms of increase equitable share, even appear before the National Assembly, but you know what happens. We only get what Senate is able to give us, and we have come to the realization that this will remain so. I will wait to see what my brother Bitok will say when he becomes a governor, because I know he wanted to become a governor. Chair COG, is it your view that the functions or the role of IBEC and the summit are completely redundant? Because that is the space where, as Council of Governors, you should be able to demonstrate that the function being carried out by Ministry X is actually our function. We're already doing it. So to begin anywhere, the funds in this particular parastatal plus this other consolidated, that would be a common sense fast way of actually transferring those funds. So it cannot be, Senate does not sit in IBEC. Yeah, neither do we sit in the summit. That is the space where you have opportunity to actually have that intergovernmental conversation one-to-one as governments at both levels. Yeah, my sister, there's a deeper structural issue here. And I think the problem begins with Treasury. Treasury sees itself as a Ministry of Finance for national government. It does not see itself as a, an institution that have constitutionally been shared between the two levels of government on account of constitutional mandate. And that's where the problem is. So Treasury will always come with a suggestion and back it to the tilt as to why counties cannot get more money. Then National Assembly will side with them. And at IBEC is chaired by the Deputy President. The ministers actually are in attendance. Even governors are ideally in attendance, because IBEC actually is supposed to be the CECs together with Treasury and others. But it is what it is. IBEC always then just registers a dispute, because National Treasury will stand with their, firmly with their position, and governors will also do the same. CRA increasingly has become intimidated by national government, so much so that their figure is always closer to what national government proposes than what governors want. And, I wouldn't want to say that they're just a talking show, but there's always a disagreement. And these matters we take to IBEC, we take to Summit, but again, at the end of the day, equitable share is determined through that mediation process between Senate and National Assembly. We have also realized that the whole question of functional integrity and boundaries of who does what has become an academic question. The court has now said CDF is legal and constitutional, right? National government parastatals that are engaged in functions that are devolved continue to soak up a lot more resources than is allocated to counties. In fact, many national government parastatals have more budget to do devolved functions in our counties than we do. Waterworks agencies have more money for water in our counties than we do. So as counties, we increasingly been reduced to bureaucracy that pays salaries, and then that staff is used to do work in our counties by agencies of national government. That is the reality.
Your Excellency, a final one before I move to the State Department. Now let's talk about accountability for what you receive. Following what you've just said, where do you get the money to give to bursaries, which is not your function? Secondly, the development record from our audits, both audits of Auditor General, Control of Budget, and what our committees have seen in terms of audits of the different functions, whether it is ECD, VTC, health, is that you barely get to 30% of development. In fact, many counties are way below. So how do we speak about accountability on the little that you have?
Thank you. Madam Chair, let me start with the issue of bursaries. As I said, the whole question of functional integrity has now become academic, in a sense, because everyone is doing everything. And it would have been nice if also this august House of Senate can stop national government from doing things that counties are supposed to do, just in the same manner that we're being stopped to do things that national government should be doing. And that we can all be true to Article 203 with respect to the division of revenue and resources following functions. It clearly is not the case. But the argument for counties to give bursaries has not been one of an educational mandate. It has been one of a welfare question. Counties also buy food for poor who are starving. And ideally, everyone should be able to feed themselves. So when we have kids in our counties who are falling off the transition system because their parents cannot pay, then it becomes a moral welfare question for us to chip in. And this has been the argument. There is a currency that's gaining, a debate that's gaining currency in council now because of how we have been fought, especially by the Control of Budget, about these IPAs. Yet the same controller cannot stop national government from allocating resources to water, to do bowls in our counties. Should we just drop this whole thing of bursaries? I think that debate is ongoing now, but it has been more of a welfare question. About matters accountability, law is very clear that yes, we have county assemblies that are the first line of oversight, and yes, the Senate, and this has been confirmed by court, that has a responsibility of oversight as governors, and we do accept and appreciate the place of Senate in oversighting us. And in going through these audits, I cannot, as chair here, speak for every single governor with respect to his audit report. All I can talk about, and I think that's a matter that I don't want to get into, is then the whole question of conduct, of oversight, and decorum, and stuff like that. And I think that's a matter that is live, and we'll have debates about that. But as to what is an individual county's audit report, that is a matter for an individual governor and county government. Just the way what is in an individual state department's report is a matter for that state department with respect to their oversight.
Now, not for you to answer, I'm sure Kenyans would want to know, Council of Governors complaining they don't have enough money. hardly, when you look at their budget to ECDE, far less than the budget towards the bursaries. And when they look at bursaries, we have NGCDF, we have NGAF, we have capitation, we have HELB, we have Equity Fly, what is it called? Wings to Fly, we have KBC, we have the World Bank loan. So then Kenyans wonder, should they really be going for this? Of all the functions, is this the one they should go to? I just leave that with you. Now, move on to the...
No, Madam Chair, before you go on that, just the last word on that. Even as that happens, the governor is on the ground, sitting in an office that's reachable by the public. And a kid is unable to go to school because there's no fees. I think that is more of a moral question. But with respect to ECDs, which was very well prosecuted by my chair of education, ECD was not one of those functions that was unbundled and costed from the beginning in 2013. So that pot that we receive in equitable share does not have a shilling of ECD. The question then should be, wasn't there not a government before devolution in 2013? Wasn't ECD not a function of national government before 2013? How come there was no single ECD teacher on the payroll of national government? In fact, it's only a few counties like Nairobi, municipalities like Mombasa, that had ECD functions. In many places, nursery school teachers were being paid by the parents, and they used to study under trees. As we speak today, we have over 50,104 pre-primary school teachers on the payroll of county governments. Yet, in that pot of equitable share, there was not a shilling attributable to ECD. These are facts which can be corroborated. And ECD has also, and I'm trying to look for the number of classrooms.
There were
5,950 classrooms in 2025 alone across the 47 counties. In spite of the challenges, we're starting from a base where there was literally no ECD function, and in Kenya literally before 2013. And yet, in the costing, this function is not being costed and given money. The PS was here saying his ministry has gotten 300 billion in 3 years. We don't have a shilling of ECD out of what we share. I want to end it there. Thank you.
We will now move on to the Principal Secretary. Now, the State Department for Devolution, in the thinking of the Committee on Devolution, is the department that should actually be strengthening intergovernmental relations. Over the 13 years, the devolution has been implemented as if there is a competition between national government and county governments. And that competition manifests in sometimes what Governor is talking about, funds that are required to go counties have not gone. Sometimes at the national level, the National Assembly disagrees with a particular function going to counties. So we have passed, as Parliament, some laws that have been challenged and found to be unconstitutional because they have not aligned to devolution. And my view is the State Department exists precisely to try and help to heal that relationship and to strengthen it. I believe it is the State Department of Devolution that should be helping the Senate and the country to be able to have a conversation with the Ministry of Water, Ministry of Roads, to actually tell them Kura is actually carrying out functions that are elsewhere, because you are the ones at the cabinet level. What is the State Department doing to strengthen devolution so that as we move forward, we all recognize that the citizen is the same for national government and for county government, and we need to work in a collaborative and cooperative manner to deliver services to the people of Kenya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the session chair and honorable senators for this opportunity to interact on this platform. So, indeed, the State Department for Devolution, which is now domiciled in the office of the Executive Deputy President, is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that the devolved system of government delivers the country's socio-economic development agenda through structured coordination and facilitating participation of stakeholders, partners, and actors within the devolution space. And the roles of the State Department, precisely just to mention three, is to provide policy direction for the devolved system of government. Now we have a new devolved system of government, a reviewed policy on devolved system of government 2026, which we just reviewed, and it was approved by cabinet. The last one was the one that we had before it was developed in the year 2016. Secondly, the State Department is supposed to promote harmonious intergovernmental relations within the devolution space, and thirdly, to build capacity and provide technical assistance to county governments. So apart from us trying to review the policies on both system of government, we have seen that we have challenges of uncoordinated legislative agenda within the devolution space, because there is no reference mostly to the parent ministry, the State Department for Devolution, when these policies are being reviewed. And we find it a challenge, because the State Department should have a collective national government perspective on these policies and laws that are leading to devolution. Even on IPS, everything, the State Department should actually know what's happening in each and every sector. But sometimes we are told it is just the COG and the ministry. It's like husband and wife conversation. But we should have a collective, it's not a private, kind of, a collective perspective as national government, so that we can be able to address these issues. Some are multi-sectoral, and so it needs the State Department to actually have information on the same. We have also improved on the sectors. Currently, since the Constitution, we have never been having sector forums, which are very important. So in the last summit, the summit adopted the intergovernmental sector forum regulations. We have never had them since the Constitution, promulgation of the Constitution. So other sectors have been functioning because of public interest, and for example, health, reactionary. But all sectors established should work without them formal. They should be formal and have a regular forums to address issues of common interest between national government and county government, so that we can unlock the gaps that are there, the challenges, and even escalate to other intergovernmentals such as like IBEC and Summit. So we are trying at a State Department. Also, we are building capacity with the program that we have, Kenya Devolution Support Program. We have supported transfer of functions, and I can just list the position on the transfer of asset transfer. The movable assets are already valued and transferred, all of them. Immovable assets, land and buildings, with support of the technical committee, are already valued in 30 counties. So we are requesting for resources to value and transfer immovable assets for 17 counties. For 6,800 parcels of land and 8,200 existing housing units transferred also in 2025. So we have a program, Kenya Devolution Support Program, that is supporting us to do this, to support counties on this. We have also developed on-source revenue mapping guidelines in counties. On-source revenue streams mapping guidelines, because most counties don't know actually their capacity and where they can get their revenue. So we are supporting them on that. On-source revenue enhancement plan, on-source revenue forecasting tools, because a governor can come and say, the county government have been collecting maybe 200 million. So it should be predictable that amount cannot change. You know, it should be at arm's length. So we are supporting counties to ensure that even in transition, that amount cannot be, mutilated. And also revenue automation through the Commission on Revenue Allocation and many other things that we are doing with supporting the county government. Also on human resource strengthening, we supported counties to undertake payroll audits. Now we have an independent payroll audit that we funded through the program, and the Auditor General conducted it. We have the reports, we have the recommendations, we took them to IBEC, and now they have been referred to the sector forum, so that if the governors can agree on the ministry on the recommendations that we have given, the Auditor General have given, then they can actually solve some. If not, then they can escalate to other structures of. Those are some of the things that we are doing.
Now, one more question: who is your minister for purposes of cabinet? Are you under the deputy president, or are you under the prime cabinet secretary? Now, I ask this because the other day we had the signing of Nairobi County agreement for collaboration and cooperation in service delivery. And reading through that agreement, which our committee has looked at, you are the secretary to the committee, but the minister who was leading this was prime cabinet secretary. So where is the State Department under prime cabinet secretary or deputy president?
As per the executive order, the most recent one, we're under the office of the deputy president, and as an office under the office of the deputy president. So when I came in, because I'm not even 1 year old in the office, and I'm an investigator, so I try to write letters, have evidence that I need my CAB memos to be tabled. So it's not, and we're I've been given some solution that the AG should table my CAB memos.
To the cabinet? To
the cabinet.
So it is the AG who tables the State Department for devolution?
Yes, for the time being, and I have, it's a temporary solution for the time being.
ML, I hope you are hearing this.
Yes.
So now, this is a very important department in terms of helping to strengthen devolution. I hope there can be clarity around that. Now, can I move to...
On the pact, Chair, the Intergovernmental Relations Act defines the cabinet secretary for intergovernmental, the minister for intergovernmental relations. So it says that the cabinet secretary or the minister is the one for the time being.
Yes, yeah. Who is the minister for the time being in charge of devolved? Yes,
so
who is that?
The PCS can also be for the time being in this arrangement of Nairobi.
So for the time being, sometimes it's the PCS and sometimes it's the Attorney General. Now, IGRTC Vice Chair, we have had quite a number of meetings. Put you in the spot. Is there going to be any light on this issue of the transfer of functions? Number one. Number two, we have more than 100 pieces of legislation that pre-exist 2010 Constitution. The IGRTC has identified 94. We are the legislators. There are those of us who think the national government needs to find the resource to work with the Senate, State Department, and IGRTC to deliver that, because it's not happening. It's been, since CIC exited in 2015, those laws have not been revised. What is IGRTC doing around this very important issue?
Thank you very much. I'm Sadia Abdi, the Vice Chair of Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee. Session Chair, IGRTC has done its fair bit. We were under the directive of the President to delineate and bundle and delineate all the functions, devolved functions. We did our bit. 2023, we did a Gazette notice, it was recalled. 2024, we embarked again on that exercise. We did and concluded, and we did a Gazette notice again in 2024 December. After the Gazette notice, our role was to bring the sectors together and identify the resources that belong to the devolved functions. We came up with a multi-agency technical team which identified the resources. We came up with a figure and shared a report to CRA, COG, for a national treasury, so that now budget rationalization and alignment can start from those departments, particularly national treasury. We are looking forward for this to be concluded this year, June 2026. Of course, we had contentious issues on matters of functions, water, fisheries, and sports. There were 4. We have also concluded on that through multi-sectoral approach, where we built consensus on all the issues relating to those contentious issues. We have prepared a Gazette notice. We have handed over to the AG's office. We are waiting it to be published. So far, that's what IGRTC has done. We are following up on National Treasury on matters of now on budget. And I think we are almost at the tail end. Hopefully by June 2026, we will have concluded this matter. Of course, we are not without challenges. We have challenges. As much as we have devolved the functions, we have also unbundled and delineated these functions. Still, national governments are still holding on to some of the functions and other resources. One of the reasons why we feel that why we were able to identify all the 94 pieces of legislative is those are the laws that are a clawback to devolution. Some of these state corporations were established by Act of Parliament. They need to be repealed. We need to look at all those acts that establish those State Department of State parastatals for that matter. Because there are laws that are still giving powers, authority to entities, national government entities, and yet they are affecting or performing functions of counties. This needs to be looked at. That's why we identify the 94. We have shared with Senate. We have shared with also Parliament. We are following up to see whether that can be fast-tracked and concluded. Our plea to Senate and National Parliament is to support and conclude the omnibus bill so that, for once, there is law that also speaks strongly to matters touching on devolution, as much as Constitution supersedes all these other acts. But that has not been the practice again. The law supersedes, yes, but we have been riding on the acts. That's why we have identified all these laws, and now we have shared with Parliament, we have shared with Senate. We are looking forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chair, County Assemblies Forum. Now, the county assemblies are the primary entity that does the primary oversight of our county governments. But the Senate, through petitions from Wananchi, and sometimes through anonymous calls from county assemblies members, has been forced to actually go to the ground to do some oversight work which county assemblies feel that they cannot do. If I raise this issue in the county assembly, I will be removed from a committee. If I raise this thing, I will not be given a foreign trip. And the senators will tell you that they have received a lot of petitions through county assembly members on issues that have gone wrong, but where they can't raise it because they feel they'll be targeted by the governors. What is it that can be done by the county assembly forum to assure the Kenyans that it was a good idea to have county assemblies, and that county assemblies can truly do their job of oversighting the county executives?
Thank you, Sessional Chair. My name is Seth Mwatela Kamanza, being the Speaker of Kwale County and also the Chair for County Assemblies Forum. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for the recognition and the invite by the Senate for us to be in attendance. I want to say that the county's assemblies have been having a lot of challenges. In fact, last year, most of the assemblies lacked resources. Even some of the members even going to the field to do oversight. And this has been occasioned by the disbursement to some of the assemblies. That's number one. Number two, as the primary oversight body, most of the assemblies have been affected by many staff leaving the county assemblies because there has been a stagnation of job cadres, meaning that we as assemblies lack the prerequisite professional manpower to ensure that we get the adequate reports and position as required by the law. Therefore, with this, we have really challenged CRA to look into the Commission for Revenue Allocation to give us an opportunity so that as they do the overall budget, they look into some of the aspects. For example, I know of county assemblies that actually don't have vehicles to go or facilitate members to go to field. Number two, you find that the members, some of the members are lacking. For example, like right now, we are in our third year. The only budget that is provided for training is only in the first year. The second and third and fourth, there are no training budgets for the members. Therefore, with that, we actually urge all the stakeholders to actually assist the assemblies to ensure that we push these factors into the system so that our assemblies can be effective and efficient. Another point is that most of the assemblies, when you look at them, politics, the party politics are actually also affecting, and I know the Secretary General of different parties might sit here, but sometimes you find that a certain position is given by certain party for members to have a toe on the line or even be removed in certain political. Therefore, there have been a lot of challenges, but as CAF, we are trying to ensure that the autonomy of assemblies is maintained, and we are coming up with policies that are pushed across the assemblies to ensure that the primary basic role is achieved. Also, we urge you as Senate, as our bigger brother, that at times you find that a committee would come to county without even the primary a committee, knowing that a certain committee has gone to do a certain oversight, and yet that committee might be having a full report, which at times we have tried through our implementation committee to ensure that most of the resolution by the assemblies are implemented. Therefore, as our bigger brother, we are telling you that sometimes it would be only fair for you to take our hands and take our reports from the primary source to ensure that you implement them, and that way you will ensure that, and you will make most of the assemblies more powerful. Thank you.
Chair, Devolution Committee of the Senate, Senator Abbas, who is my chair on that committee. During the 3 years, you have led us to do a number of things across board, whether it is through legislation, oversight, checking stored projects, intergovernmental relations, implementation of urban areas and cities. What is your plan during this 5th session on what you want the committee to focus on during this time?
Thank you, Chair. I think, as you're aware, Article 96 actually safeguards devolution, and the Senate represents and protects the interests of the counties and the governors. Article 217 mandates the Senate to determine the basis of allocation of revenue. With all this, we have found, as you know, in the previous interactions and the committee work, we have found also many challenges actually that may affect the progress. One of them is the transfer of devolved functions. As aware, Article 186 and 87 assigns the transfer of functions in one of the most persistent weaknesses that we have found in the implementation of devolution. The state departments, parastatals still perform functions of devolutions. And on 16 December 2024, IGRC actually completed a delineation of the four functions of the many parastatals, about 42 of them. Some of them were supposed to be dissolved, some were supposed to be merged, and as a result, the IGRC also has discovered, given a costing of 65.9 billion to operationalize the transfer. But up to date, the functions are still being performed by the parastatals, and the Treasury or the executive is still giving money to the same parastatals. In January 2025, there was a cabinet approval to wind up and streamline the state corporations, strengthening the governance, accountability, and operational efficiency. Of this, there was supposed to be a merger of 42 state corporations, 20 entities, 20 entities to improve efficiency, and there were 25 state corporations earmarked for dissolution and their functions transferred to relevant bodies. Up to now, and this after having a look at the budget plan for 2026, 25-26, and those same corporations have been given money, or they have been, at least they have submitted their requirements and their budget plans to the National Assembly. One other problem we have found that as a committee is that the challenge in financial management of the counties, especially in low expenditures on development. Following the findings, the county budget, what do you call the BVR, the committee encourages the low expenditures on development, and found that many counties expenditures for projects are very low. And as a result, we had a sitting with almost all the affected counties, and found out they are below the 30% that they are supposed to allocate to the for development. And actually, as a result of that, there is high wage bills that affects the money allocated to development. The committee actually now is following up the issue that we want to now curtail the COB to at least have a control of the budget that been allocated for development should be used only for development. What happens in most times, in most instances, is that the money given for development, at times the governors come with supplementaries and reallocate the same money when it's approved by the assemblies. One other thing we have seen is this weakness of on-source resources revenue collections. They found that most of the governors are comfortable with the equitable shares they get from the government, and they put little effort to increase the on-source. Therefore, I think the same money is now, the on-source is being used for budgeting. And as a result of that, we have a lot of bending bills now. The county government is actually having huge bills for especially development, and you know, the on-source resources is supposed to be used for recurrence. And as a result of that, a lot of money is being used. So I think we have agreed that we also compel the counties that at least the on-source will be increased, so that at least they can be able to meet this bill. Now, as we talk, the accumulation of bills is that 100 is amounted to 183 billion, of which 130 billion is for recurrent activities, and 52.2 billion is for development. See that, you know, we expected to have more bending bills in development than have a recurrent bending bills. Huge, that's huge. So I think one other thing we have found that governors are not paying the bills. One, we have a bending bill for social reductions, pensions. It's a very unfortunate situation now. Pensioners are not able to access their pensions just simply the money has not been remitted to the respective institutions. And therefore, I think that will now repair. We put our head together as a Senate and the counties and the ZOB and the lab fund and the pension institutions, so at least we know how we can get away, we can be able to help the pensioners. One other thing I found is that there are so many stalled projects that are completed. One county alone has 114 undone and stalled projects. And this has been carried forward by successive governors. And I think that itself is very, very wrong. And I think as a Senate, we have to come with a policy. I think we'll bring now an amendment to the bills. So because according to the PFM Act, we as all bending bills must be first charged for every new financial year. But this is not actually executed. It's actually contravened. As I rightly said again, one thing we also found was that the institutional challenges affected policy coordination, especially the State Department of Devolution. This is actually where policies will have been moved, but they don't have a substantive minister. And you remember last time when we met the peers, he said he used the AGA to take the issues to the cabinet, for the issues to be done with policy issues, all other things they require, legislative issues, is now to be done through the AGM, which is very unfortunate actually. And I think the PS has not told us what he wants to do. Then I think if that has not been done, then this committee has to move a bit fast to assist the PS, so that you can have a substantive ministry, so that we can be able to affect all the policies that we need to move. Thank you very much. One other thing I found is that through the experience that we have got the other day through the Nairobi County case, there are no formal agreements or memorandum of understanding between the two levels of government. I think everything is done. One of them is like now that the county government is implementing the issues to do with the community health workers. I don't think there's any formal agreement on functioning. So some of these things have been done ad hoc. So I think we need to formalize these things.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the panelists. Devolution is a very huge topic, so we can only scratch the top. I'll now come to the plenary.
Before you finish, I think they also have done some amendment bills.
Say that again?
We have amended some of the bills.
Yes.
The one for the, making the assemblies autonomous. The one for the deputy governors. One other thing we have found was a challenge is the dispute between the governors, the deputy governors, the assemblies, and the governors. And the committee actually has made many interventions, and we have successfully at least managed to reconcile 3 counties on that at that level. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair. No, Chair, just hold on. Let me give a chance to others, but just make your point. You'll make it when you have a chance. I see Senator Wakoli, followed by Senator Eddy. I see ML. I see Senator Manzo. Is that? Oh, Senator sorry, my eyes are not, I don't see for that. Is Senator Wamatinga. Senator Mandago, did I pick? Anybody else? How was that? Can we start this way? ML, and then Wakoli, and then the others in that line. You'll remind me. Eddie, Beth, then Wamatinga. Let's go, and then we'll take the next round. Proceed, ML. Where is the roving mic?
Use the...
Apologies. Chair, thanks, Session Chair. My question is to, if I got the name right, it's Fauzia from, or if I got it wrong, you'll tell me the right name. The madam from ITGRC. Apologies. Sadia. Thank you. The chair, my good friend, the chair has helped me. This omnibus bill that you're talking about, the one that collapses quite a number of agencies and what you'll generally refer to as a clawback legislation that still exists. I don't know where it is, who you sent it to, because if you sent it to the assembly, then you sent a pack of meat with a hyena, hoping that it will reach home. So good luck on that attempt. But if you want it to succeed, organize to have it find its way to the Senate, and we can help you, because what you're proposing makes a lot of sense to me. There's still part of the reason why we're still struggling with too much resource remaining at the center is through those state agencies. A lot of them in water sector, for example, and so many others that need to be either disbanded or the funds be sent to counties and managed by 2, 3, 4, 5 counties in the regions that they serve. So I'd be pleased to help with that legislation if you can share. But just to inform you that it is not with us in the Senate. Thank you.
Senator Wakoli, please note, we will listen first.
Thank you, Chair. I want to ask the Chair of the Council of Governors. Of recent times, specifically Trans Nzoia, we have seen a governor close the offices of the Public Service Board, flush them out, and boldly, without blinking, say that they are hereby dismissed. You can imagine the president closing Public Service Commission in this country. Will we have a country, or we are in a banana state? Thank you, Chair.
Senator Eddy.
Chair, thank you. Quick question to also the lady from IGRTC. Chair, is there a way that you can have a personnel from this institution specifically to CPIC, the way we have got partners from EACC, or sometimes also from AG's office and the National Treasury. And the reason why I'm asking this is because when we look at the books of counties on all county investments, be it hospitals, be it municipalities, and more notoriously, water companies, the WSPs, there is a serious issue that is always showing up on the balance sheets of long-standing issue of transferring assets to these county institutions. And the biggest problem is that people even use, those assets to take loans on behalf of these county investments, and then it is committed to counties. Then it becomes a very big problem. So the only way you can deal with them in CPIC is to deal with them on a case-by-case basis, and I think it's essential that one of their personnel should sit in CPIC so that you can be able to deal with these issues. Lastly, Chair, to the Council of Governors, what is the problem of giving municipalities and cities autonomy? Because we end up having a situation whereby money is allocated to these municipalities, there is no autonomy in terms of financial discipline, and it's just difficult to clean up the fiduciary responsibilities in the municipalities that can ensure proper service delivery. What is this problem with just ensuring that these municipalities are independent?
Senator Beth.
Thank you, Session Chair. Actually, part of my question, Senator Eddy has raised it. It's because it has been coming up in CPIC committee on transfer of assets from the national government to county governments. And I wanted to ask the chair of COG, why as governors cannot sit and follow up that issue and it is dealt with once and for all. Finally, Chair, I wanted to say, okay, popularly we have been saying resources follow functions. And we know there are functions that have stuck with the national government and they are not yet devolved. Yet, the governors are expected to deal on those areas. What is COG doing in terms of ensuring that the devolved functions then are followed by resources? Thank you. Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Session Chair. My question, though, partly touched on by Senator of Migoli. My question goes to the chair of COG. We have spoken about unbundling of functions, and it is not lost to us that in the diversity of this country, some counties might not be able to attract top brains to work there. What is the Council of Governors doing to ensure that even in such counties like Wajir, Madera, Turkana, they are able to attract the top brains to work in those functions that may need to be devolved, so that we do not have a situation where we have issues of mismanagement because of competence. Thank you.
I'll take one more round and then they will answer and we will close. Anybody? Senator Mandago. Anybody else? Senator AC, Senator Beatrice. Those three.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. First, to the Chair of COG. Under the Kenya Urban Support Program, quite a number of counties did not meet the requirements of World Bank in order to get the necessary resources for their counties. So how is the Council of Governors asking us to increase the allocation when some of your members are not also consummately working to meet the requirements of World Bank so that they can access those resources that are dedicated specifically for development projects? Number two, to the Chair of County Assemblies Forum. County assemblies are the primary oversight bodies. And I've heard you say sometimes committees make trips they are not aware. I'm the chair of the Senate Health Committee, and I can tell you more than 5 counties we have visited. We write letters to the Speaker. We've made it a policy that our first point of call when we visit a county, is actually the office of the Speaker, not the Governor. And after that, meet the Committee for Health. But in 5 counties, the MCAs ran away because they don't want to be seen by the Governor with the Committee of Senate. What do you make of that? And how do you expect us as a Senate to work with you as a sister institution to make sure there is oversight? And finally, how does some of your county assemblies allow the county executives procure and spend without the budget, then later want to regularize with a supplementary, or allow funds that have been requisitioned for specific service providers, contractors and service providers who have already done the work, their documents have been used to requisition funds from the control of budget. That is what the control of budget has approved, but the firms that are being paid are not the ones whose documents were used to requisition documents, and that is why we have huge pending bills now in the county. And how comes the county assemblies are allowing the chief officers of finance to unilaterally do environment of votes without even involving their counterpart chief officers of the relevant departments in the counties?
Senator Esi.
Thank you. My question is to the CAF chair. I would just want to understand how the granting of financial autonomy to county assemblies has contributed to them improving on their oversight, representation. Is there any other role the Senate has to play? Thank you.
Senator Beatrice Oyomo.
Thank you, Session Chair. Mine is not a question, but mine is just a foresight. Governor, the chair of COG. My comment is on the future proposed oil exploration in this country. And I'm thinking that planning is good, and failing to plan is planning to fail. Governor, with your urban committee of the COG, I just wanted to share that the counties along that corridor, especially Turkana, especially Shingishu, Eldoret is going to be an urban node, a key one. Governor, imagine 600 trucks on a road towards one city like Eldoret on a day to Mombasa and from. I was just thinking that the counties need to be brought to some level where they are planning with what is proposed to be. It will help the counties in terms of even increasing their revenues if their planning departments are able to do zoning, to work on parking space, to work on how to ease congestion in on those places, put environmental measures, put their health facilities in place, Governor, because if you're going to have 600 trucks plus the urban, the movement of that is going to go to those towns, if the counties do not foresee and plan, I think it's going to be a disaster for them. I just thought, Session Chair, that I bring this so that the urban sector of the COG is able to fast track a number of things with those counties.
Thank you. And one more for COG Chair. The inter-county or intergovernmental, the regional blocks still operational? Because that's the forum within which you actually plan economic development that is cross-border. So we will now respond. Use only 2 minutes to say everything you have to say, including your final comments. So we'll go with CAF first, IGRTC, State Department, Council of Governors, and Senate.
Thank you, Chair. I want to start with a question by the Honorable Senator Esi on the financial autonomy. I want to report it to this House that up to now, there is no county that has, no county assembly that has fully implemented this. And on these following reasons, there was a circular from the Treasury that needed the CEC Finance to do an introductory letter of the person who is going to be an accounting officer from the assembly. Therefore, most of the assemblies have faced frustration from the county executive, apart from a few that have gotten to that point of introductory, which is Mombasa, Laikipia, Machakos, Meru, Bomet, and Nairobi. The other counties that the other county assemblies that are scheduled to initiate the process is Wajir and Narok. All others, 38 of them, are still in the process of getting the introductory letters. Therefore, this aspect of the financial autonomy, up to today, there is no county assembly reporting to this house because you did a good job by ensuring that the assemblies are getting their own financial autonomy. But the process of getting to that is or we've been having a bit of hurdles, which we are still trying to ensure that the 38 come on board. Then I go to the pointers by the Honorable Senator Mandago that some MCAs ran away. I want to say that this is so unfortunate because I don't want to put a blanket to all the assemblies that I remember you came to my assembly with your committee, and we fully handled all the matters that you brought to our table, and we were non-partisan. And I want to agree that to an extent there are some counties or county assemblies that probably the MCAs wouldn't want to be seen in a bad light. And this is the subject of discussion that you as Senate, we need to have so that you strengthen the assemblies, because you find that there are some assemblies, for example, just getting the normal letter, it becomes a hurdle. What if the funds, and the funds are coming from a signature by the CEC member, finance? Therefore, it hinders effective oversight from the assemblies. Therefore, this is a work in progress, and it is for all the stakeholders to ensure that we put the right parameters and policies so that to ensure that we get the full autonomy of the assemblies. Also, from
your 2 minutes are nearly up, so
okay, thank
please
you.
hurry up.
Guided Chair. Also, the assembly that they procure then regularize. I think this is unfortunate, but as per most counties right now, the budget cycle is followed as per the law. And we are trying. Most of the counties we found the amounts were there, the pending bills, and most of the counties right now are actually struggling to pay the pending bills that we found in this third assembly. Therefore, we are ensuring that we are going to work on to that aspect so that we get into the green light. But I can assure you, the pending bill from 2022 to right now 2025, 2026, they have really gone down in most counties. Therefore, it is also an aspect
The
that
point being made is government exists in perpetuity. Even the bill of 2015
true
needs
yes.
to be paid.
With those remarks, I just want to put my last remarks, and I want to say to this Senate that we really thank thank you for two major bills that you've really assisted. First, it's the intergovernmental bill which you passed. Also, the autonomy of financial autonomy of the county assembly. We want to say thank you. But however, we still have a challenge with the intergovernmental bill which went to the national parliament, and it has been viewed as a money bill. We hope that you and the National Assembly can get a reconciliatory effect so that we come out of it, because we are suffering in some aspect. Therefore, for that reason, I want
leader stepped out, but I want to confirm that the first letter was sent on 1st July 2025, and the omnibus was sent on 24th of February 2026. However, Honorable, the first letter was sent on 1st July 2025 on the legislative gaps. The second letter was sent on 24th of February, and that was on the omnibus bill. But I commit to follow up again.
No, you sent to who? To the Attorney General?
To Senate. We shared with Senate. We also shared with National Assembly.
Oh.
We are going to confirm later. I think we don't have to really talk about it much, but that's the feedback I'm getting from my officer. Allow me to say this also, that the law allows IGRTC to resolve disputes through alternative dispute resolution. However, the dispute that we have resolved as IGRTC is between the two levels of government. There is a gap which we need to address as Senate and as also defenders of devolution. Where do we place intra-governmental disputes? Disputes between executives and the legislative, the counties, if you look at them, within the counties, which again hamper service delivery. They spill over to impeachment and also to Senate. So it's an assignment for all of us. We need to look at that, because there is no law that has given any entity the mandate to resolve those disputes, yet they are a hindrance to devolution. Thank you.
State Department. What was your question?
My question on asset transfers. It was not answered.
Okay.
But I feel like it's the biggest problem.
I can answer that. I can answer that. On assets, IGRTC had done identified, validated, and also handed over the assets to counties, the motor vehicles, lands, houses. We have also gazetted. As we speak, next week, IGRTC team is going to 11 counties to reconcile what is in the gazette notice and what is on the ground. And they have also been guided on what to do with those assets. Those assets that they feel they can be disposed, they have been guided on that. We have a register, we have a gazette notice. Where we have disputes, we have also registered the disputes. And the team is going to 11 counties next week, Monday to Friday. I'll be in Wajir County to reconcile what we have gazetted, published, and what is on the ground. Thank you.
Okay, State Department.
On the identified resources, I think the IGRTC had mapped, they mapped 65 billion to be transferred to counties, the resources for various sectors. But I think it's in the BPS as the required budget, but the allocation now is I think is still under discussion.
So you're saying there is 65 billion in the BPS identified to be transferred?
Yes, to counties.
To counties?
Yes.
To follow the functions?
Yes.
Which functions after the Gazettement? Is there winding up of those parastatals? Because what we have been told is that the current budget is contemplating giving money to the very parastatals that were supposed to be wound up.
So that is the status.
Okay.
And also on the emerging issues and challenges of, you talked about the county public service boards and also other emerging issues of, other emerging issues. Our previous policy on the devolved system of government did not envisage these emerging issues and challenges. And now with the new policy that was approved just in 2026 by the cabinet, we have put guidelines to address the same.
Okay. Chair, I think you can do it when you speak.
Chair, I think one thing we found is that even those institutions that have been abandoned and moved to counties, African resources have not followed. They still remain resources have not been released. Having only salaries that has been released. One other thing I've seen is, and I want to tell IGRC Vice Chair, that it's not be fair when you're talking about assets. All the the institutions that have been like water, health, they have assets. I think to be fair, like housing, should be at least devolved to the counties. But if you take back to the national government, then the national government will claim those houses, and the staff and the people living there who are working for the counties will not be there. The county will now be forced to use extra money to build houses and where the workers can live and can stay, or where maybe the water guys can stay. Those institutions actually are for the devolved functions, like water, health, museums. So I think you better look at that, whatever you are declaring, that what belongs to the devolved functions, what the departments, should go with budgets.
Okay, now before COG, Senator Wakoli, quickly, what is the burning question?
Because he's appearing for the last time in this session and thereafter leave, I want to ask what my speaker asked. Do you still maintain that you will not, the governors through the Council of Governors will not appear to committees of the Senate?
COG Chair, now you can respond, including to the last question.
Yeah, my questions are a lot more, so you'll allow me a bit more time. I'll try to be fast. Now, on the issue of county assemblies and financial autonomy, what the Speaker is saying is news to me, because there is no way counties can actually deny assemblies their money. In fact, Chair, it might interest you to know that they also even force us to give them more development fund over and above their budget. And on average, they get 10% of the budget. 10% of the budget in any county goes to the assembly. And many a times, they also force us to fund even their trips to go and do budget visits and everything. So whatever he's saying here is not factual. I want to leave that there. And on the issue of I think the Senator Eddie raised the issue of, I don't know who is it that raised the issue of asset transfers. I think this should be very simple. Give all the assets that relate to functions that are devolved to the counties, and give all the assets relating to non-devolved functions. In my county, my sister is coming to solve a dispute because they gave them 60% of my assets to national government. And this shouldn't be the case. I think that was also raised by Senator Beth. On the issues to do with development percentage and everything that has been raised, and also I didn't quite hear the PS, but he also talked about on-source revenue. And Session Chair, I think on this matter of division of revenue, because another senator also, I think Senator Esther, asked what are we doing to ensure that resources follow functions. I have said, and I'll repeat it here, it's not in the purview of the council. The council cannot do nothing other than present its cases at forums to which it's invited and at forums at which it's a member of, such as IBEC and Summit, and when the committees invite us. And the situation is very dire. For instance, our sister here has acknowledged that there is 65 billion shillings relating to those functions that have been unbundled. But if you look at the budget statement, the budget policy statement, Treasury is suggesting an increase of 5 billion from 415 to 420. We have been having a fight with the Ministry of Health about absorption of UHC workers. And we've been telling them, if you want us to absorb these people on a permanent basis, increase equitable share first for that one item by 9 billion, because that's the cost, 9 billion. And they've been saying, no, and just take some money this year, and then next year, we will convince Treasury. We have been resisting. Now, we have been vindicated. Why? Because they're giving us 5 billion, which doesn't even cover the UHC. The circular from SRC for the third cycle salary review has increased county payroll by more than 5 billion shillings. It's not funded. We had issues to do with housing levy. We had issues to do with SHA, all of which were absorbed. So even this percentage that we talk of, the 30 to 70, what do you call it, 30-70, is academic. My sister, it's academic. There is no way we can meet those ratios if equitable share does not increase. And this question of on-source revenue capability is not the same across all counties. And on-source revenue generation is not a factor in division of revenue. What is a factor is resources following functions. The only thing the law says about on-source revenue is to optimize. I want to end that there. Under KUSUP, Senator Mandego, to the best of my knowledge, there's no county that has been thrown out. A number of counties are struggling to meet the minimum condition with respect to the municipality boards. And I think, if I remember right, there were 14 in number. On matters oil and the corridor, I think those were recommendations from Senator Peris Tobiko. We take them as they are. On economic, what are they called? Economic blocks. There is no anchoring legislation. I think these are just forums that bring together people with similar problems so they can discuss their challenges. On why, I think because this one was also repeated a number of times, on why municipalities are not autonomous. Many of the counties, to the best of my knowledge, have given them the expenditure side. They are given grants to run their own operations. The question that has been a bit sticky is the one of them managing revenue, because counties also have revenue authorities. So it will be duplicating. And then in many counties, especially in the rural counties, a lot of the revenue, on-source revenue, is actually within the municipality. So if you allow that entire money to just be used within that municipality, you will actually be having nothing. And these municipalities grew at the back of others also. We're having the same challenge with the major hospitals. Because of FIF law, they think that money is just theirs to do whatever they want, pave roads and whatever. So I think there's got to be a balance between prioritization and autonomy, so that these people also do not become law unto themselves. The question that was raised about the Public Service Board, I mean, that's just a question of someone not following the law. Because the Public Service Board is protected in the same way as the Public Service Commission is protected. There is a procedure to follow. And I wouldn't do any bidding for any governor who doesn't follow the law also.
Thank you very much. Governor,
on the last matter which he raised, I will be very polite on that. I think this is at the desk of the Speaker. We have raised what we have raised. We respect the Senate. We respect the Senate. And I will be the last person as chair of council to disrespect the Senate. But there are weighty issues that we have raised with respect to one committee and individual members of that committee. I await further guidance from the Speaker with respect to my latest correspondence. I just want to end it there.
Thank you very much. Just to... okay. Quickly. The PS has a small...
Honorable Senator raised an issue on urban areas and cities. we don't have a regulation to the same that will ensure that there's a procedure for confinement of urban areas and or cities status, and the regulations are under drafting, and they will soon be tabled before the Senate for approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable senators. Thank you for your patience. Can we clap for this panel? Thank you, panelists. We can't clear all these things in 2 hours. Now allow me, honorable senators, we have come to the end of our deliberations for today, and I wish to